is in the Scotland innings.
Every run's going to be cheered here by the Nepal fans, who are definitely outnumbering a good hardy number of Scottish fans too. Probably maybe 5 to 1 they're outnumbered, 500 to 100 what I'm calling it, although plenty still getting their luncheons in at the moment. Yeah, you would suspect that for Nepal the challenge is going to be just keeping in this game, staying alive in this contest, not losing early wickets. Good diving, tumbling stop. There is runs out there. They can't afford to lose any early wickets in this chase. End of the second. It's 8 for none. Let's get a look at the points table. Asif Sheikh it is opening the batting out there. Arif will come in the middle order, no doubt about that. But for the points table, that is the current state of play in this ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2. Plenty of questions about the format and the structure of this wonderful league that's been such a good innovation since it's come into play for the leading associates in world cricket. All 8 sides play 36 ODIs across the 3-year cycle. In the last cycle, the first edition of it, it was much more abridged because of the COVID pandemic. This time, it's, if anything, a bit more simple. All of the 8 teams, it's been expanded to 8 with the Super League now being no more for the moment and Netherlands dropping down. Other change was Canada being replaced, or Canada replacing Papua New Guinea, who lost their ODI status. And it means that all 8 of the sides will play 36 ODIs. That's 12 per year. And the way that those 12 per year are made up is 1 home tri-series and then 2 away tri-series. And each of those tri-series you play 4 ODIs in. So it's 12 ODIs per year. The slight quirk of fate of scheduling for this season, though, Mel, has been because the TU International Cricket Ground has been renovated, usually Nepal would start their season in February with a home tri-series. And that's what they did, starting the tournament last year in 2024. But because the TU's been renovated, Cricket Association of Nepal asked to try and have a little bit of a window, a gap, to try and get those renovations moving in a big way. And it means that they'll play their home series later in the year in November. It means they've had to wait all the way till here in June. We're now into the British summer, in theory, to get the season underway for them. They'll then have tours of the United Arab Emirates, which will be followed almost immediately by a home tour. That'll be late October and then November for those 2 series. But ultimately, with their position on the table, Mel, and 12 games to play this year, this is whipped into the leg side with a little bit of panache, and the fans are going to love every second of that. Oh, he wants a little bit of footage on the smartphone before tossing it back to Brandon McMullen, who's even enjoyed that himself.
That's outstanding, but a nice way for Birtel to get off the mark. Just a little bit too straight from Sharif.
Yeah, McMullen is no stranger to Nepalese fans, of course. He was a real fan favourite of the Sudar Prashim Royals. Hold on, Brando, I've got to get a photo with this. I might not get my hands on it again.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant.
Whipped into the leg side again. Might be the same result. It's pretty short out there, only 60 metres square. What's this fan going to do? He says, okay, back you go. Don't want to tease you too much. They're dancing up on the grass banks, loving every second.
And that is part of the ground where the ball, the outfield slopes away. So the ball does tend to travel pretty quickly. But once again, he's just struggling a bit with his line. Just a couple of balls that were too straight. Bowled a couple of wides in his first over, Sharif. Generally very economical.
Just a different role for him, though, isn't it? Opening the bowling. He's tended to be used in the middle overs of late. End of the 3rd over, 2 boundaries from it. It's 16 for none. Good bright start for Nepal. That's the points table there again, Mel. So if you look at the current state of play, obviously it's far too early to make any calls in terms of who's going to do what. But certainly USA, the Netherlands and Scotland, even Oman, but USA, Netherlands and Scotland with those 4 games in hand looking very good, maybe to fill 3 of the top 4 spots. After that, it gets all a little bit more opaque, doesn't it? Canada, after a flying start, have had a horrible couple of tours, winless in Florida. And not a great tour down in Namibia either, where it was difficult with the weather. And Namibia, who took a critical win on the final game down in Windhoek. You've never seen a one-off win celebrated as emotionally by a group of players after a difficult patch for them. And with UAE's troubles in this format, well, the league, it's a ruthless league, isn't it? Because there's no easy games.
No, there's no easy games. And there is context for everything. The only saving grace is, at this part of the league, there's still a long way to go. So there is time for those teams to dig themselves out of trouble. But for some of them, they are a long way back. I just feel like teams like Scotland just starting to motor on now. And you would expect the teams like Scotland and Netherlands to be pushing USA up at the top of the table.
Gorgeous. Sumptuous drive through the covers. So elegant and easy on the eye, isn't he? Asif Sheikh doesn't try to overhit and just presses and punches it through the covers for 4.
Yeah, it was a really bright start. We did talk about the fact that it was perhaps a more workmanlike bowling attack, but on that occasion he's not getting much swing early on, McMullen. Just offering width. And this time goes the other way. A few too many 4 balls being bowled by Scotland early on in the innings. Richie Berrington's just having a little bit of a chat with McMullen as they walk back to the top of McMullen's mark. Just wondering what that plan is. There was quite an extended discussion that just went on then.
No ball. Yeah, Brandon McMullen at his pace really shouldn't be overstepping, and the fans have just realised what this means. The Nepal fans, that is. Big cheer in the crowd, and particularly with the field unable to change because the same batter is on strike. Well, this could go anywhere. Kushal Bertel, who's known as a tearaway player in the T20I format at the top of the order, can't even dance down the track because remember, he can't be stumped. This could be fireworks. Here comes the free hits. We'll have to re-bowl that. Be a wide.
Oh, just the wheels coming off a little bit at the moment. It's interesting. I mean, we did see the ball swing a little in the early overs bowled by Nepal this morning, but after a few hours of play in this second innings, it doesn't seem to be doing much.
Free hit number 2. And that's going to be slashed away for 4. Fantastic start for Nepal. They're showing that they have every intention of getting themselves into this chase. It's 27 for none.
Absolutely delighted at this start from their players, with good reason too. It's another expensive over.
The famous chants of Nepal, Nepal, not ringing around the TU in Kathmandu, but here at Forfarshire in Dundee. Joyous scenes up there. How long will it last for those Nepal fans is the question. Can they continue this good start? It's been really interesting, isn't it, Mel, to look at the first 11 that Stuart Law's gone with. This is the new era, new head coach in place. He hasn't changed much. He really hasn't. Maybe the one big call, and that might have been more made by the selectors than him, was no Kushal Malla for this tour. Arjun Saud, the other one to miss out from the last tour, that was the tour of Texas. But really, it's kind of maybe just the decision not to go with Lalit Rajbanshi was the surprising one. He put that down to conditions. I think that will change. I think he'll come in and play in the next game, to be honest. And no Anil Kumar Sah, who's struggled on this preparatory tour of the UK. But really, this is kind of the tried and tested 11 that we would have expected.
Yeah, and that's interesting that we talked about the 52 players who took part in the, a sort of competition that was put together to see what depth was there in the country. They had 4 sides, 4 different colours. They mixed experience with young players coming through, and at the end of that, they've ended up with almost the same setup for the final 11 as they did before. And I'm sure that's not the only reason they had that core camp as well. It's to give him, Stuart Law, a real idea too of just the talent that is out there more broadly and what depth he's got.
Just 29, whereas he's made 1 century and 8 50s up at the top of the order, and he's got a phenomenal record in T20I cricket opening the batting. So that's the other subtle change. It might have been different if Anil Sah was playing, but it's back to the old reliables, Kushal Bertel and Asif Sheikh, to open up. 5 have been bowled, 28 for none.
That's a really important tidy over from Sharif. Just 1 run coming from it, because they were really making hay and making mockery of everything we were saying about this pitch being difficult to get in on, because this opening pair for Nepal had just been making hay a little bit, but that's an important over full of dots from Sharif. Now, what happens at the other end? We've got a bowling change already. So McMullen proving to be a little bit too expensive. Jasper Davidson coming into the attack from the River Tay end, or the Nursery Road end.
Been told it is officially the Nursery Road
end. Oh, that's no
fun. You had your moment in the sun, Mel, but it's gone.
They can't stop me. I can say it.
Jasper Davidson has also had an interesting trip to the Barbers.
Well, he always does. No,
I'm not sure about that one.
He does.
His brother's in the squad now, isn't he?
Yeah, Ollie Davidson. So the two of them, who were born in Edinburgh, were both living. Their parents live near me in Birmingham, down in Harborne. Ollie in the squad, not in the team yet. Love to be playing together.
Worked into the leg side, was in the air, and just for a moment, only a moment, Asif Sheikh's heart will have been in his mouth. Did get the exact dimensions just there from the ground staff team. Just guide you through those. Out to that side towards the scoreboard there, 61 metres square, and only 60 metres out to the offside as we look now. It's straight down the ground. It's very big, particularly from this end of the ground, the Nursery Road end, because it's nearly 72 metres straight. And actually, if you look up to the corners, up to the top corner, 77 metres is the furthest dimension. So really, it's a nicely shaped and sized ground, isn't it? Steered away for 4. Gets just about enough on top of the bounce. It's a real grunt as that fan feints, putting it into the pocket. The way the Scotland bowlers are going right now, Nepal wouldn't like that.
Yeah, we've noted the extra bounce that you sometimes get on this hybrid pitch. A reminder, they are batting on a hybrid pitch. Bertel really rode that bounce very well, able to get on top of it, keep it down. How does Davidson respond? He's gone for 5. He's only bowled 2 balls. Oh.
Pulled away. I'm going to be pulled away for 4 more. Really good stuff. Kushal Bertel enjoying back being up at the top of the order, and this is a fine start from the old opening pairing. they've brought the band back together and they're enjoying it.
Well, there was a bit of a gift of a ball, really. Short, straight, going down towards leg. I was asking to be put away. Scotland just have to find a way to just dry up these runs. It was a good over from Sharif, but in the previous over, just giving up one, but all that pressure's being released at the moment.
I think certainly the frustration for Richie Berrington will be with Brandon McMullen. He did this probably 3 of the 5 games in the Netherlands. He ended up with good figures, but his first spell, given McMullen has been so consistent, so accurate and so economical up opening the bowling, and it's been something he's really enjoyed. He's just been off the mark. 2 overs for 16, including that no ball and that wide. Scotland do not have much variety in this attack. The 10 overs of Mark Watt will be absolutely crucial. Of course they will. They always are. From one of the best left-arm spinners going around the game. Where are the rest of the wickets coming from? Because Kushal Bertel has started in flowing style. Every run, every boundary being roared to the rafters.
Well, I don't think the wickets are going to come from full balls outside the off stump. Just, it's right up in the hitting zone.
It's a half volley,
yeah,
to be frank, and it's been put away with real style. Nepal will think as though it's 12 against 11 right now because their fans are making a lot of noise over on the far side. Runs continue to flow from every delivery. It's a 14-run opening over from Davidson. Not the change in bowling that Berrington wanted. 6 have been bowled. 42 for none.
So 14 runs coming off the over. Only Sharif has been able to put together an over that has applied any pressure whatsoever. Sharif is just having a sweater run out to him. So now we're going to see a change of end for Brandon McMullen. Now, if that is officially the nursery road end, then what officially is the other end?
The pavilion end.
It
Quite
is the
simple.
pavilion
Yeah,
end.
this is definitely the pavilion end. I've had it checked. Spoke to a few of the longer-standing members of the club.
Okay.
But yeah, certainly this to me would have made a lot more sense for Brandon McMullen to be bowling from this end. There's a heavy, a strong, probably 15 to 20 kilometre per hour wind blowing across the ground as you look in a moment from this camera from right to left, from leg to off. McMullen is an away swing bowler, but he just can't get his length right. And it's another punch and a punch to the rope. Scotland looking a bit ring rusty as Binod Pandey, the long-standing fine written journalist, has a little moment in the sun himself.
Well, can't get the length right, and it's also perhaps the lines. There was a slight bit of movement there, but they're just offering up too many 4 balls. Oh.
There is a deep batting line up here too for Nepal. You think of, I know Sandeep Lamachani will tell me that he is an all-rounder, so that they'll say that there's 10 all-rounders in the team because you've got, the depth of, give you a look at the Nepal 11 after this over, but the likely lineup will be Bim Sharkey at 3, I imagine, Rohit Paudel at 4, Arif Sheikh, the Iceman, at 5. Such a rock in that middle order for them. Dipender Singh Ari with his explosive power at 6, Gulshan Jah, the left-hander, at 7, and then Sampal Kami, Karen KC could flip-flop either at 8 or 9, and Sandeep Lamachani at 10. So there's a lot of batting here. It's a fine start for Nepal. It will certainly start to build their belief that they could pull off a record chase here.
Now there is a bit of movement.
He's now bowling with the way the wind.
The wind is, yeah.
I think it's a poor piece of game management, and I don't know if that's down to McMullen. I doubt it's down to Berrington. But you've got to get your bowlers bowling from the right ends. And McMullen, even though he's lighting up the associate game with his batting, it's been his bowling that just continues to impress and take wickets. Good line. Really good line. That one didn't shape away, just held its line, and a brave lead from Bertel.
Yeah, much better over from McMullen. Boundary did come off the first ball where he really got his length wrong. But this has been better from him since, so perhaps the change in ends has done the trick.
Over pitched again and gets away with it. Charlie Tiered as well to keep it to a dot ball. 7 have been bowled. It's 46 for none. Here is that Nepal 11 I was just talking about. Is that the kind of order you think that they'll line up in?
Yeah, and you look at it, they do, when you've got Karen Casey, and I've already stated that I am a fan of his batting. Love it when he comes in. He comes in down at 9. That is a deep batting lineup.
I think what everyone, all the Nepal fans, will hope for from this Stuart Law era. There was a few fans getting a bit frustrated towards the end of the Monty Desai era. There was a mantra that I actually adore, I think is a very good mantra in life, let alone in sport. He says, you never lose. He always said, you never lose, but you learn. So even when you lose, you learn. And it's something that Rohit Powdell would have said to me quite a bit in post-match press conferences or post-match interviews at the end of a match, or speaking to the media. He would have said, okay, we've lost today, but we've really learnt about X or Y. And then a few of the fans were kind of parroting and parodying that on social media, saying, we're not just always losing, we're learning, and they've had enough of learning. And Stuart Law, being a hard-nosed, true blue Aussie, has probably come in with a mantra of, I want to win. All coaches want to win, it goes without saying. But put a really high premium on winning. Now, it's a lot easier said than done, isn't it? And this league is tough. And this is, let's be fair, possibly, maybe with the exception of if you went away to the United States of America and took on Scotland alongside them, which was actually Nepal's last tour in Texas. But this, in these conditions, it could be the toughest tour in this league. Maybe going away to Oman with the spin friendliness of their pitches.
Yeah, you're sort of at the extremes then, aren't you, with those two? But I would definitely put this one up there as certainly one of the hardest.
Pulled away, protection out there, just be the single. Finn McCreath does the fielding. For me, I would say that Stuart Law has been handed a pretty tough task here in his first tour. Now, that being said, what he's got to come, you could actually say that there's no easy games in this league. I'm not saying they are, but if you look at the tours that he has for the remainder of the year, so he'll have to go to the United Arab Emirates, who are really struggling in this format. Better than ever in T20 cricket, beating Bangladesh, a series victory over them. Mohammad Waseem just continues to excel in that format. But they go to the UAE to take on USA and the UAE. And then they host Oman and the UAE, probably within, it might be back-to-back, those two series, from looking at how the fixtures will pan out. It'll definitely be October, November. So what that means is you've got 4 games against the UAE, possibly inside 4 weeks. It could go a huge way to dictating your fate in this league. Like if Nepal could sweep them, for example, or conversely, if UAE could sweep them, all of a sudden you've got an 8-point boost, and the table's going to look completely different.
You just sort of need one good series to completely change things, and especially if you get a good series away, that's where the value really lies.
Just think for me, Mel, the fact that they're playing the UAE back-to-back twice, and UAE, okay, they had their moments in the Netherlands. They did beat Scotland once, but they're particularly their fielding and their running between the wickets at points was bordering on shambolic. I think they had 8 run-outs on the tour in 5 games. Might have been 9. 8 or 9 run-outs in 5 innings of batting. You cannot do that at the top level.
Not if you want to win.
You just can't do it full stop.
and
yeah, those back-to-back, I think those 4 games, you've got to be thinking, if you're Stuart Law, got to win 3 of those. I'd quite like to win 4 of them.
This is a much better over from Davidson. 14 off his first, but just 1 off the second. So all of a sudden, we've had a couple of tight overs. As we take a look at this, those standing, I become quite a bit weirdly obsessed with this table. I look at it often because the thing is, it can be really deceptive if you just look at it and don't take into consideration the number of matches played. Interestingly, too, by the way, Scotland, the only team to have a net run rate above 1.
Yeah, and that's how dominant they've been in some of their bigger victories. They gave USA an absolute walloping out in Texas. To be honest, that was probably one of the most one-sided games of the entire ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2 so far. That was the kind of death knell for Stuart Law's tenure. So there is a little bit of... There's all sorts of amusing dynamics, isn't there, with Pabudu Dassanayake going back to the USA, Stuart Law moving from USA to Nepal. There's also a little bit of a revenge mission here for Scotland after what Nepal did to them in Texas. They didn't just beat them, they gave them an absolute walloping. And that was a game that, actually something Mark Watt spoke to me about before the start of play today. I said, you must be confident coming into today after that performance against Netherlands, and also Nepal may find it difficult in these conditions. And he goes, Lenny, they absolutely smashed us in Texas. We're not taking anything for granted. They lost with over 20 overs to spare that day.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it?
It was such a topsy-turvy series, that one. This one's edged just out of the reach of the first slip fielder, Mark Watts, who, well, did he get a fingertip on it? I'm not so sure. That's why McMullen should have been bowling from this end. If he'd started like that with the 2 slips in place, Bertel would have been gone. Instead, he gets a real moment of fortune and the 50 comes up.
I've absolutely raced to 50 as well. They're significantly above the run rate required at the moment. But these last couple of overs, Scotland trying to fight back.
Oh, now follows it up, back-to-back boundaries. This one is imperious. There's almost a hint of swagger and arrogance in that stroke from Kushal Bertel. Moments after being dropped, he responds with the perfect cover drive.
Well, just when you think they are fighting back, that one again, the away swing, he's just picked that up perfectly. And just enough with outside the off stump. So all of a sudden, McMullen's figures are taking a beating again.
You feel from the previous ball, but this time he was too full. Punished in a big way. Might be 3 consecutive boundaries as McMullen could get half a hand on it, but it's still going to go to the rope. Safi and Sharif can't cut that off. Nepal fans will wonder if they're dreaming. They're in absolute ecstasy here at the ground, and I suspect around the world too. Kushal Bertel back opening the batting, back where he belongs, many will say.
Well, he has looked more fluent than pretty much anyone today. I know Charlie Tier played well to his 80, but this is magnificent stuff from Bertel. And he hasn't looked like he's overhitting anything. It's just been good timing, good conventional cricket shots. But he has been given a number of gifts. That's a third of the boundaries scored in that over.
Just trying to get a look at the last ball, the previous over. We've got a few issues, with our setup here that we're not able to bring you every replay. Just trying to get a established as to whether or not that last ball was a drop. This was the one that we think was half a chance. Mark Watt went quickly like a goalkeeper. He's a big football fan, is Mark Watt, to his right, but he couldn't get an outstretched right hand on that. And then the final ball of the over, again, you might be able to tell us better watching at home. I just wonder whether or not it might have been an outside edge to Mark Watt again. Could have come off the gloves of Cross. I think it might have been an edge. Wasn't any appeal or any reaction, so maybe it wasn't. Hard for us to tell. Pulled powerfully, well in front of square by Asif Sheikh, who wants to get in on the act as well. Nepal are really riding on the coattails of a return to their regular opening pairing of Asif Sheikh and Kushal Bertel. Been so impressed by the way in which these two have started. Bertel the dominant force, but Sheikh very much playing his hand too, and both not afraid to play their shots. We did say that we felt the pitch was stopping a touch in that first innings, if anything flattening out a little bit, but the big challenge for Scotland here, Mel, is that without Brad Curry in the attack, they just don't seem to have penetration. With due respect to Davidson, who's probably the quickest of them, Charlie Castle, who's on the bench today, to Safian Sharif, to Brandon McMullen, they're all medium pace. Mm-hmm. And there just isn't really that cutting threat. Gavin Main's in the T20I squad. He'll bring back some X-factor, but he's got significant work commitments, and there's no Chris Soule at the moment.
And they're all right-arm medium pace as well. So it is that lack of variety. And it's frustrating because a lot of times in the past couple of years, Scotland have actually had really good variety in their attack. If you're looking at, they had 3 different spin options between Watt, Leask and Chris Greaves as well, who's not in the squad. And then they had the express pace of Chris Soule. They had the swing of McMullen. Then they had various other options with Sharif as well. But yeah, it's just... And Brad Wheel, of course. Don't forget Brad Wheel. They are missing a lot of firepower.
Driven down the ground now and driven with real aplomb. It's very long up there, 72 metres, so Jack Jarvis will cut it off. He's the other seam bowling option. Again, a similar pace. Mm-hmm. So Michael Leask and Mark Watt may have a big role to play today. And actually, one thing Stuart Law said to me just as I walked across the ground to get another layer for us to wear in the second innings, because it's very chilly indeed here in Dundee. He said, well, it looks like that pitch might have deceived us all. Maybe we should have picked more spinners. And certainly, I think he was of the opinion that maybe Rohit Paudel could have bowled himself or Dipender Singh Airi to get more spin into that first innings. Pace looks like it's just being lined up right now, and that power play, well, it very much belongs to the men from Nepal, who after a 7-month wait to get back into ODI action have started very brightly, ahead of the required rate, no wickets down. And I just had one rather brilliant message, Mel, you're going to enjoy this. They said, well, this is like India against Nepal in the Asia Cup, because it was those two, wasn't it? It was Asif Sheikh and Kushal Bertel who put on 65 inside 10 overs, but they lost a wicket from the last ball of the power play. Today they haven't. Very much shades of that as Bertel went after the likes of Ravindra Jadeja and Mohammad Siraj that day. Today it's been all of the Scottish bowlers on the receiving end. Things looking very good for Nepal.
That's a terrific start, 6.4 and over, and well ahead of the run rate that they required to reach this target. Of course, a couple of wickets and things can change dramatically, but McMullen is going to continue.
Edged away. Did get word from one fan watching who felt it was definitely a drop catch, and felt it definitely came off the edge to first slip. So between the one that flew wide of Mark Watt in the previous over, and then the one that may well have come straight off the outside edge and been dropped by Watt. There's been a few moments of real contention in Scotland. Well, they look like they've just taken a few blows out there. They're looking a bit rattled.
Yeah, and it's Bertel doing the rattling as well. He's gladly taken up every single loose delivery that's been offered to him. On strike now. Just Scotland need to find a way to just calm things down, string together a few tighter overs, just start to put pressure back on them. At the moment, it's not felt like there's been any pressure on this opening partnership at all.
The talk I'm hearing from a very good source back in Nepal is that was definitely an edge. So again, our apologies, we are battling a wee bit between the classic 4 seasons in one day weather that we're receiving, the sun kind of skirting in between the clouds, and the monitor we can't really see too well. But by all accounts, that means that Kushal Bertel was dropped from the final ball of McMullen's previous over. He's gone around the park. He's travelled at, well, the best part of 9 runs per over at the moment.
That'd be easier to deal with if you had a wicket.
Yeah, wouldn't it? Just like Rijan Dakal showed when he picked up that at George Munsey. But I think the Nepal fans will be looking at this start and saying, this is more like it. This is the new era that we were hoping for and dreaming of. And, you know, very much getting a player and a coach of Stuart Law's calibre into the role. I know it's early days, but you'd have to think there's a lot of sense behind that appointment from the Cricket Association of Nepal.
Well, you also have that little honeymoon period often in across all sports when it comes to a new coach with teams. So often you see teams going through a bad run, get a new coach in, and suddenly things seem to change. It doesn't always last for that long either, but there is something in that new coach honeymoon period because you just see it so often. A long way to go, of course, but the lack of variety in this Scotland bowling attack is a bit of a worry.
This is helped away into the leg side. Should be at least a couple. Asif Sheikh prides himself on his fitness, as so many this Nepal team do. I have to say the boys look particularly fit and strong. They've always been one of the very fittest groups in the associate game, but I gather something that Stuart Law has absolutely impressed upon them is that there is no room for even one slightly unfit player anywhere in and around the setup. So even someone like Sandeep Lamachani looks like he's really trimmed up, got into even better shape, and you'd imagine that this could be a fascinating era to watch. And if Nepal can get winning, there's a long way to go in this game and on this tour, but if they can get winning, this Cricket World Cup League 2 table is going to take so many twists and turns over the course of the next 18 months.
Yeah, I just don't take anything for granted on that table because we have seen so many topsy-turvy. Look, part of it is obviously going to be with home advantage for certain sides as well, but some of the results, you just look at them and go, how is that possible after the previous round?
Well, I did send a message of congratulations to Jatinder Singh after his team's efforts in Florida. I was very heavily questioned on air in February in Muscat as to how successful this Oman side could be away from home, given they were so heavily reliant on spin in that fantastic homestand where they won 7 from 8 over the likes of the Netherlands and USA. But they went and did it in those conditions in the southeast of the United States. They won 3 from 4. They could have won 4 from 4. Sufyan Mahmood so nearly got them over the line in the last game. That's
what I mean about sometimes you look at the results and you can't work out how it's happened. Oh.
Davidson falls over in his follow-through, but the Yorker squeezed out for a single. I think the unpredictability of the league is something that makes it so exciting. UAE are staring down the barrel. Namibia are probably looking at a position where a top 4 spot, unless they finish incredibly well, it might be out of the question. They might be thinking as much as anything, we want to just make sure we're 5th or 6th, with the likelihood I would suspect the ICC will look to host that Cricket World Cup qualifier playoff in Windhoek for two reasons. One, they're one of the co-hosts of the main World Cup. Two, they hosted the last one. And three, they've got that fantastic new F&B ground, which is going to have the two ovals, two fully ODI accredited ovals right next to each other, which will be one of the co-hosts of the Under-19 World Cup next year. So I'd imagine they're going to host that playoff. Are they already thinking, or is Craig Williams going to be ambitious and say, no, I still want a top four spot?
I mean, I think you've got to just go for the top four spot, haven't you? There's no point doing anything else. You've got to just try and win as many as you possibly can. But
by the end of this tour, you'd imagine Scotland will win two. It'll probably be a 10-point gap.
It's going to be pretty difficult, isn't it?
And only 16 games left.
Yeah, 16 games left.
Just the difference between sixth and seventh is potentially astronomical.
Yeah.
Got to love it. Every game is something on it.
Well, I keep saying it. That's why I love this league so much.
Do you think... I'm not sure you covered much of the first league. I know you're watching lots of it, but you've commentated now on quite a bit of the second league. Do you think the standards come up in between the two editions of it? It's improved?
That's a good question. Do you know, I would say probably it has, just because when you look at teams like the US as well and factor them into it, yes, I think it has gone up. You've also got, because they got rid of the World Super League, you've got Netherlands back in this league now, in the Cricket World Cup League 2, which only strengthens it. So all of a sudden you've got these top four teams, or the teams that are in the top four at the moment in particular, are very strong. And so, yeah, I think it has, partly because of Netherlands coming back in, and partly because generally I think the standard has been going up, and which is why, you know, you do have teams, even in a different format, competing with the top nations.
Is this an edge? Oh, yes, it is. And it is Davidson that makes the breakthrough. The pressure was building with 3 consecutive dots. The cross celebrates in euphoria. Scotland, well, they desperately needed that. As finally the first wicket falls and the opening partnership is broken.
They did desperately need it. Just maybe pushing that one through a little quicker. Little bit of extra bounce. Ends up just getting a slight top edge, only a feather, but it was enough. And there'll be a real feeling of relief out there for Scotland now. Finally getting that breakthrough. Shake departs for 20, 72 for 1 after 10.
Must have just been a feather of an edge, wasn't it? We're so far away. We're about 75 metres away, and there's a stiff Scottish breeze.
तो जितने भी दोस्त ये मैच लाइव देख रहे हैं, अगर आप ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना चाहते हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जिसने भी ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना है तो चैनल को फटाफट सब्सक्राइब कर लो। अगर आप सब्सक्राइब करोगे तो मैं लाइव को इसी तरह कंटिन्यू रखूंगा। तमाम दोस्तों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जितने भी दोस्त ये मैच लाइव देख रहे हैं, अगर आप ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना चाहते हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जिसने भी ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना है तो चैनल को फटाफट सब्सक्राइब कर लो। अगर आप सब्सक्राइब करोगे तो मैं लाइव को इसी तरह कंटिन्यू रखूंगा। तमाम दोस्तों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जितने भी दोस्त ये मैच लाइव देख रहे हैं, अगर आप ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना चाहते हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जिसने भी ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना है तो चैनल को फटाफट सब्सक्राइब कर लो। अगर आप सब्सक्राइब करोगे तो मैं लाइव को इसी तरह कंटिन्यू रखूंगा। तमाम दोस्तों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जितने भी दोस्त ये मैच लाइव देख रहे हैं, अगर आप ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना चाहते हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जिसने भी ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना है तो चैनल को फटाफट सब्सक्राइब कर लो। अगर आप सब्सक्राइब करोगे तो मैं लाइव को इसी तरह कंटिन्यू रखूँगा। तमाम दोस्तों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जितने भी दोस्त ये मैच लाइव देख रहे हैं, अगर आप ये मैच फुल लाइव देखना चाहते हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लो ताकि आपको फुल मैच लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग देखने को मिल सके। तो जिसने भी ये मैच फुल लाइव
2.5 years ago in 2023.
Probably hearing some of that wind back home now. It's getting stronger and stronger. Just a reminder, it's blowing across the ground, so that's coming from the leg to the off as we look from this end, the pavilion end. This one's cut away and hit with real timing and quality. A couple of players in today's game sponsored by the same bat company. And I think Gray Nichols, I know Kushal Bertel went to visit the premises there. George Munsey, we saw in the first innings using that kit too. He'd be a very happy bat maker watching on here, pinging off the bat, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just getting that sort of extra bounce on that previous delivery, but got on top of it really well. There it is. Wasn't particularly wide.
Oh, got him straight through. What a delivery, and it's 2 and 2 overs. It's just jagged back in. The bat might have come down a little bit late. Jarvis is a bit quicker than he looks, and both openers are back in the hutch.
Wow, what a response. He was cut away nicely the previous delivery. Look at that ball come back in. What a response from Jack Jarvis. That is both openers removed. Scotland desperately needed that, but still, Nepal have got off to a terrific start, but now 2 gone.
Bertel it is that falls for 53 off just 44 deliveries. He's taking a long and very forlorn walk off. I just wonder, is that kept a bit low? That's the kind of the stock delivery we were expecting on this hybrid surface. We thought that it might be ones that would skid on. Jarvis has that slightly slingy action. And Bertel, well, he's very frustrated, isn't he? Does not even want to look up as he trudges off. It'll bring the skipper to the crease, Rohit Powdell, who's got plenty of track record and plenty of form against Scotland. And very much the man for all seasons, whatever the format. He's such a fine player, this man, but he'll have a lot of pressure on his shoulders. You'd imagine he's going to need to get a big 50-plus score now for Nepal to hunt down this tall task of a target. They need 297. Looks a long way away now with both those openers removed.
Well, this is an interesting part of the game because now we'll find out if it is difficult to get in on this pitch.
Plays the ball very late, Rohit Powdell, and he'll take some time to get accustomed to the facilities. Did make a 50 in that most recent Scotland 8 clash, one of 2 that they had arranged for the venue here. There's an amazing silence, wasn't there, as soon as the Nepal fans realised that the stumps had been castled. I'm not sure. It's nipped in a bit, isn't it, from that angle? But it's definitely kept low.
It's definitely kept low. He's angled it in to start with, and I think it maybe just nipped back a touch as well. But yeah, definitely stayed low, especially as we've kept noting that the fact that there has been that extra bounce. So whether it's the action of Jarvis, whether there may be a little bit of too patientness creeping him. Either way, he's a happy lad.
Get a look at the Nepal batting card here. You'll see who's to come. You look at that lineup, there's obviously the explosive pair of Irie and Jad, 6 and 7, but you'd imagine a lot of the heavy lifting is going to need to be done by either Bim Sharkey, Rohit Powdell or Arif Sheikh to come. The good thing is they've scored so fluently, they don't need to worry too much about the required run rate for the moment. They just need to bat some time and get in at the crease. 2 men, both on 0 out there at the moment.
Yeah, that's why I say it's just a very interesting little period, because with Scotland, pretty much everybody who came in struggled in their first couple of overs to really get off the mark quickly. And then those who scratched around was sometimes able to start scoring more fluently. But this is the first test for Nepal after an opening blitz.
Probably a few wee concerns over the light as well. It feels quite dark, doesn't it? His Powdell is very quick between the wickets. He'll get back for a couple. Gets the dive in. Such a young athlete, or such a talented young athlete he is. I'm looking around here, Mel. I'm not sure we've any rain forecast, but it's awfully glum, isn't it? For what? 4:15 p.m.
It is, yeah, and there is no rain forecast.
That doesn't mean anything in Scotland or Ireland. You can
Okay,
say 0%, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is 0%.
Well, the real feel, they're claiming it's 14 degrees now. What's the real feel? 6, 7, maybe 8? You're going to see Powdell's dive here. Look at that, outstanding work. Direct hit would have been interesting.
Yeah, direct hit, I reckon he was gone for money.
At the 20 over marker, were we somehow to have a cessation in play? More just to give you a sort of sense as to what Duckworth Lewis Stern thinks. Nepal would need to be 107 to be ahead, so that they'll probably do that comfortably if they stay only 2 down. But wickets are the key asset, so much so that they actually would have only need to be 78 for none when they were none down. Worked into the leg side very nicely by Bim Sharkey. This will be a much more comfortably run two. You'd imagine that if Stuart Law looks at that first innings, he'll probably be frustrated with how they started with the ball, but he'll be delighted with how they fought back. And now he won't mind this test, will he, for their first ever game? He'll really kind of relish this test that his batters have been given.
Well, he's going to find out. You can find out stuff at training, but you only really find out, I think, in these high-pressure games, and they are all high-pressure. So he'll be learning at a rapid rate about his players. He'll have liked what he saw from the openers.
Guided down to deep third. Every run is being roared by this raucous Nepal home crowd.
It's probably helping them keep warm. Maybe you and I should get up and start dancing. I'm very appreciative of the fact that you went over and got a couple of layers. I'm just wrapping your whatever this is around my legs.
Kevin O'Brien will be pleased as well. You've got the Kevin O'Brien Cricket Academy beanie on.
I have got.
I've got
Kevin
3
O'Brien.
of them. He's one of my best pals. He always just gives me gear, and I love a beanie because I've no hair. So, whereas somebody actually mistook you earlier for Manali Patel, which I was quite amused by. I'm going to read you the message now. Manali Patel from Canada was out commentating with us at the Nepal Premier League, and this fan said, "Please send me a photo of and pass my regards to Manali, sir." I said, I think that's definitely not the Canadian accent to my right.
No, that is. I definitely do not have a Canadian accent. I do get told it flips about a bit, and I'm in Australia. Australians will say that I have a bit of an English twang, and then when I tell people in England that, they laugh raucously because they say I do not have anything of the sort. So I don't know what I am.
Whipped intentionally in the air by Bim Sharkey. Not the right line from Davidson. That's the longest corner of the ground. 77 metres. Enough. 78. I don't think it would have got there, but it had just enough momentum to get up to that furthest corner of the entire venue. And it's a boundary to end another expensive over from Davidson. Good shot from Bim Sharkey.
Yeah, just strained down leg side. All of the bowlers just been a bit loose, whether it's line, whether it's length. They've just been a bit inconsistent. And it looks like Safian Sharif is going to come back, who was expensive in his first over in particular, and came back and bowled a very tidy over. So, and he is the one who generally has more control, most experienced as well in this attack. And it's not going to be him, it's still going to be Jack Jarvis. Well, Safian Sharif got the ball and was walking back as if he was going to bowl the over.
Nicely judged single by Powdell, as the overthrow will be attempted to be fielded by McMullen, who's always involved. Safian Sharif instead tidies up. Nice to see Safian Sharif passing on all of his knowledge, all of his experience to young Jack Jarvis. Real promise, isn't he? Going to be fascinated to see how his career arc evolves. I think he might end up as a number 6 or 7 in the order with the potential in his batting. It's by no means the finished product at the moment.
It was his batting that I first noticed, actually. So I first saw him, the Scotland team had a sort of training camp out in Antigua a couple of years back. And I played some games against some of the local teams, one of the St Kitts I played against, and the Leeward Islands, I think, as well. And I watched him get, I reckon, about 80. I reckon it was off about 50 or 60 balls. It was fantastic innings. One of the other players was watching alongside me, and I still remember him turning around and saying, "That kid's the future." We were just talking about his batting. So I totally agree with you that I think he will end up batting up higher up the order.
All the way down at number 9 at the moment. A lot of that's due to the strength of Leask and Watt at 7 and 8, but we don't think he'd look out of place at number 6 in due course in the order.
Agreed.
I don't know what the story is behind his 66 on the back. We obviously know Joe Root wears that number for obvious reasons. Now England's record ever ODI run scorer after the most remarkable knock yesterday. Real fill-up for ODI cricket yesterday, a bilateral series, lots of people questioning the format and some really rather ludicrous takes from some pretty established voices and former players and pundits and commentators on the game, but a great example yesterday of the brilliance of the modern ODI game in Cardiff.
I think so. The thing, it's a much maligned format generally, and always a first to be criticised, but I just think the fact of the matter is that the ODI World Cup is still one of the game's biggest sources of revenue. And I can't see how that ODI World Cup is ever going to go away, because it is so important to the game. And then I don't see how you just get rid of bilateral series in ODI so that then teams just show up playing a World Cup. Oh, very tight single. Well run.
Yeah, I think over and above that, you're completely correct in what you're saying. 6 singles round out the 15th over, 94 for 2. You're completely correct in what you're saying. And I know money's important, but isn't it a shame that that's the first thing you think of when it comes to ODI cricket? And you're right. And I worked at the ICC. You're 100% right. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. But isn't it a shame that the first thing you think of isn't, this is a brilliant format, and it should be celebrated more so, and we should have our primary event, which you're rightly saying is the most valuable one, as once every 4 years being our marquee showpiece to show the world how great this game is?
Well, I agree with you, and it's not the first thing I think of, because I do love one-day cricket. Always have. But when people say, well, we should just get rid of one-day cricket, forget how much I love it or how much people like it. There's still a fact that it does bring in so much revenue to the game because of the World Cup. So I just think that there are 2 leagues that work really well, as we see Mark Watt is going to come into the attack from the Nursery Road end. So a bit of left arm surprise, as I like to refer to his bowling.
Crucial 10 overs these. How Mark Watt goes may well dictate the fate of today's contest. If he bowls, as he so often does, very economically and finds some penetration too, the game could well swing Scotland's way. Nepal should be able to play left-arm spin well, face a lot of it back home. The huge array of shapes and sizes. There's even a young 16-year-old who lit up the Nepal Premier League this year. Oh, bounce, real bounce on offer. Bipin Sharma it was. took 13 wickets in the Nepal Premier League. I think, if I remember correctly, he was name-checked by Shikhar Dhawan out there as well as his teammate, as being absolutely one to watch for the future. There was maybe a dozen, if not more, left-arm spinners in that league. There's that many for them to pick from. It makes it all the more remarkable. They've started an ODI today without one, without the quality and brilliance of Lalit Rajbanshi. Definitely a fascinating call. They say it was conditions-based, but surely your best left-arm spinner in Nepal is going to be someone you'd want in your 11, whatever the conditions.
He's going to be in your best 11 anywhere, isn't he? I reckon we'll see a change.
Yeah, I think we will. Rajbanshi's record thus far in Men's Cricket World Cup League 2. If you look at the leading wicket takers in the league, Shakil Ahmed, Bernard Schultz, the top two. Also see the likes of Nosh Kenjige and Harmeet Singh, Sadbin Safar up in the top 10. Roelof van der Merwe's already got 17 wickets in 11 games too. He'll be a big asset for the Netherlands. But Rajbanshi picked up 10 in 9 games, so not the first time he's been left out, but definitely something that you and I were surprised by this morning.
Definitely won't be surprised if there's a change for the next match.
Actually, Sampal Kami that leads the way in this league for the moment for Nepal with 14 wickets. They have got a lot of games to catch up on the others. Shakil Ahmed's 39 from just 15 games with an economy rate of 3.07. Not too bad at all. 16 bowled, 98 for 2. I don't think he's the one you need to worry about taking a run of ball off. In fact, if you were offered now, if you're Stuart Law, that Mark Watt will bowl 10 overs, none for 40 or none for 35 even, I think that would put Nepal in a position where they can definitely think about winning the game. And a lot of that comes down to the lack of variety in the rest of the Scottish attack. So keep Watt wicketless. I think Nepal can win this game. Allow him into the middle order, as he so often gets into. All of a sudden it's a different kettle of fish, as this one's cut away for what should be a couple. Good fielding from Davidson out on the square rope.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that one. Oh, well.
It takes a village, doesn't it? What's that saying from? It takes a village.
It takes a village to raise a child.
Is that the one?
Well,
I thought it was something to do with Irish football or Irish Gaelic. Maybe it's passed over in Ireland.
It takes the legend that is Ian Potts here at Fourths.
10 hours of heat from these. That can't be
He's
right.
brought us hand warmers. Oh,
actually saw Dipender Singh Airi using these in the first innings. Meant to mention that. It is not warm, is it? It can't be more than.
Well, he's also
5
brought
or 6
me a
degrees
little.
here.
No, he's brought me a little puffer jacket.
Don't tell me it's 13 degrees, Potsy. It's not. It's just not. I'm sorry.
So
Jarvis to continue. Cut away with real style. Should be at least a couple. In fact, it very nearly gets to the rope. Finlay McCreath has to do well to keep it to just 2. Festival atmosphere despite the cold building up here. Have to love what we're watching. It's a good contest too, Mel, isn't it?
It really is. Jarvis getting the wicket. The thing is, what's keeping it tight the other end? What you want is another partner, another bowler to partner him and keep it.
Into his third.
Right, you've got gloves. I am trying the hand warmers. Now, how do they work again? Do I have to bash them or do something?
I think you crack them and they'll warm up.
Right.
Do need to stop talking about the weather. Time to focus on the cricket here. Nepal very much getting into this chase. They really are. Good partnership this building up for the third wicket. Back live with you now. But it is certainly some of the more inclement weather you could imagine commentating in. Just a fraction over a run of ball required right now for Nepal. There's that slog sweep that Powdell loves, and it's going to race all the way to the rope. Probably not quite in the control that he was hoping for, Mel, but very effective. And gets a boundary to a few frozen fans up there in the crowd.
Oh, heavens above. Someone's in shorts, Lenny. I saw someone in shorts.
Well, that's the way to stay warm. Get up and jump and dance.
They've got it. They've got it right. Especially off what?
You got to give great credit to Nepal's approach here to this innings thus far. They've built a nice partnership here for the third wicket. They're getting into the game. 117 for 2. Get a look at this partnership that's starting to grow. We're 39. The thing that's impressed me about it, Mel, they've taken the occasional slight risk, but they've just accumulated the runs really nicely at a good tempo.
Well, they've essentially waited for bad balls, and they were offered quite a few early on, and they haven't had to take too many risks.
This was the boundary in the previous over. I don't think he quite got it as he wanted. You saw the bottom hand come off the bat, but yeah, who is that man wearing shorts up there in the crowd? He needs his head examined.
Oh, boy.
Panche Baja is back blaring away as Safian Sharif is going to come back into the attack. 30 overs remain. The equation's a simple one, Mel. Don't need to be a mathematician to work it out. 180 to win off 180. Exactly a run of ball required. Very much life and hope here for Nepal in this chase. There really is.
I think the only way that Scotland are going to stop them getting there is by taking wickets. Although at this early stage, if they're able to dry it up somewhat more than they have been.
And this will be more in Sharif's wheelhouse. I know he used to open the bowling earlier in his career for Scotland, but he hasn't in quite a while, particularly since Brad Curry's come into the picture. So he was asked to do something today that he hasn't done a huge amount of. But he's tended... I thought he bowled really well, actually, in those middle overs in the 2 ODIs he was brought in for. Still a young man, still 33 years of age. There's plenty of cricket left in him. Alongside Mark Watt, one of only 2 players in the history of Scottish cricket to have more than 100 ODI wickets next to his name. Probably more of a control bowler rather than the explosive threat that he was earlier in his career, mind.
Yeah, and we've seen him at times as well come in the death overs and be important in the death overs at various points in his career, and I think that is partly because of the control that he offers. He's not express pace, but he's a pretty savvy bowler. Loads of experience.
Always wholehearted as well. And that's why he's been such a fan favourite over the years. He never gives anything but 100%. Of course, the man who bowled the ball that helped clinch that win over England, the famous victory. What was it by? 6 runs, wasn't it, in the Grange back in... Isn't it scandalous, really? That's the last time England played Scotland in an ODI.
Yes. Yes, it is. It is scandalous.
Real shame, actually, that tradition of England, it was in alternating years, wasn't it? They would play Ireland one year and Scotland the next, come hail or shine. Okay, sometimes actually those games were washed out because of the rain, but it was always a sort of marquee fixture that Cricket Ireland or Cricket Scotland had to look forward to. And then it was only thanks to the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup Super League, but the Netherlands got to host England for those 3 ODIs. And you think about the impact that they had on Dutch cricket. 3 sold-out crowds of 10,000 fans. Every single Barmy Army member who went there said, can we do this every year? And then, since then, what has happened? England haven't played any of... I know they'll come to Ireland later in the year, but Ireland are a full member nation now. Surely there has to be a way. I know England's calendar and schedule is packed. There has to be a way for them to get to play their European rivals more often.
Or then you look the other way, because I know that England do tour a lot, and I think it's a massive shame that they don't play Scotland or Netherlands, but it was terrific last year when Australia came over to play England. They played those T20s at the Grange. Really wonderful occasion. It was Australia who actually spoke to Scotland and suggested it, because they wanted to have the run out. They didn't want to be playing county sides. They wanted an international. They thought that it would be a good option.
Yeah, that's hit Bim Sharkey in the helmet. I think we might have a break in play here. No.
But
protocol is completely followed there. Maybe
Maybe.
physio should have jogged on, but it was a fairly glancing blow to say the least.
But yeah, so having that series against Australia last year, I mean, that was huge for Cricket Scotland. They've managed to get these two teams to stay on this year. It was a real shame. I really felt for Scotland women because not qualifying for the World Cup, and I know you were out there in Pakistan for those qualifiers earlier, but Pakistan were really keen to come and play. They're playing a series against Ireland, and they wanted to come and play Scotland.
Well, this entire summer, been a great start with the triangular in the Netherlands, and then seeing the women's qualifier down in Italy. We've got this tri-series followed by T20Is, and then the main event from the associate perspective, the Europe qualifier for the T20 World Cup, which is going to have so much riding on it. And Italy and Jersey will certainly be looking to upset the apple cart, as will Guernsey. Oh, now this is close. This looks pretty good, but given not out, and Mark Watt can't quite believe it. He's wondering where it's missing, and the umpire says leg stump. This looked very, very close, didn't it? I think Mark Watt will feel as though this was going to hit the leg stump. Was it just angling down? Not the best angle for us.
Hard to tell for that angle.
I think Bim Sharkey might have just got away with one there because, well, that looked incredibly close, didn't it? Scottish umpire Ryan Milne says not out though. Decision goes against the hometown, and Bim Sharkey has, well, maybe a bit of a life. Let's get a look here. Is this just sliding down? Is it missing leg stump, Mel?
Oh, it certainly is angling, but it looked to have straightened a touch. I think he's maybe a little bit unlucky there.
I think Bim Sharkey's indicating it might have come off an under edge. I don't know whether that was genuine. We're a long way away. Really close call, though. Always get yourself in trouble if you sweep and you don't make contact. But this time, it goes in Bim Sharkey's favour. Safin Sharif will continue. He's been economical thus far. He's very effective. Half a stop from Berrington, who's, if you'll notice, Mel, continuing to hide himself away in the field. If you see his hands, you'll get an understanding as to why. There is tape on almost every one of those fingers being held together, Richie Berrington.
Yeah, he's a tough old cookie, isn't he? And I say old, not old. He's 38 years young. I think he's still got another 10 years in him. He's not allowed to retire.
Well, Doug Watson has made one thing very clear as the head coach of Scotland. He never wants Richie Berrington to retire.
I'll join him on that one. It's the way he leads off the field as well as on it. It's very quietly spoken, but he's the sort of bloke that when he talks, everybody listens. That is him there, 38 years young. You can see those hands all, those fingers all taped up. Pulled, but with control, just get the single, didn't really get all of that one. Quat doing the clean up. Undoubtedly still a little bit disappointed that he wasn't given that decision in the previous over. It did look to be very, very close. face down on that. And so now just that runs required, just getting above the number of balls remaining. So run rate required just going up a little bit. It's been pretty much bang on, or they've been ahead. But Sharif's actually done a pretty good job in tandem with Mark Watt. I'm talking about Watt and how tight he was keeping it at one end, how he was the real threat, and what kind of partnership could they get at the other end in trying to keep things a little bit tighter from both ends, just to see if they could increase that pressure a little bit. So yes, you see there now the run rate required just going above. That'll help though. Nicely played. That's going to be 4. Is it? Yes, it is. Good attempt. Great attempt by Jarvis.
Jarvis could have actually got there. I don't think he realised how much ground he made up. Might have been able to cut this one off. The first really bad ball in a 5-over spell from Safian Sharif. It was an out-and-out half volley and put away with real fluency by Bim Sharkey.
Yeah, just as we were talking about the importance of keeping it tight from both ends. Now what can Watt do? It looked like he had a wicket in the last over. Very tight LBW call that went against him. Old 4 overs, has 6 to make an impact. If he doesn't take some wickets, you do wonder where they're going to come from.
Yeah, things definitely boiling up beautifully here. One of the most frigid and cold of days. You just get a sense that this game is kind of destined to go, well, certainly into the third power play with all results possible, maybe all the way as far as the 100th and final over of today's contest. So an all-time classic down south of the border yesterday between England and the West Indies. Joe Root single-handedly dragging England over the line against the West Indies, despite another Casey Carty century, his 3rd in 4 innings. And who's going to play the big innings? Nobody made more than 80 in that first innings that Charlie Terre made, his career best. But you just wonder if a Sharkey or a Powell could go past that, then Nepal would very much be in the ascendancy.
What's the key, isn't it? Isn't he? Feels that he's a key anyway.
Isn't a huge amount of turn on offer though, and it's all the guile that Watt provides that will be more likely to provide the breakthrough.
Well, the changes in pace that he does so well. Obviously, that he uses the angles on the crease. These different release points. Sometimes with that left arm angle, as you see, coming around the wicket. Look how wide he gets. He's angling the ball in. Perhaps sometimes is what goes against him with LBW calls, is that when he does fire the ball in from such a wide angle when he's coming around the wicket, that left arm angle. Umpires might be thinking it is angling across and going down.
Diving stop by Barrington. Yeah, plenty of colour on offer in the crowd. Some lovely messages in from all over the world, and the Cricket Scotland team worth a follow on social media as well. They've even been getting up and about it up in the crowd. And a reminder, this is just the first of 4 one-day internationals Nepal will play here in Dundee. They'll also play 4 T20Is in Glasgow too. So lots of opportunity to come along and experience this in person. If you can't join us live on ICC TV for the ODIs, I think the broadcast details for the T20Is will be announced in due course too. Great to see such a festival of cricket throughout June. We're looking a bit worried about the weather forecast, Mel, weren't we? Throughout the kind of the 10 days. It didn't look great in Dundee, but should get through a full game today. Hopefully, long may that continue.
Well, I think there might be some rain forecast tomorrow, but then it's fine the next day. I was looking Sorry, bring up my little app at the moment. So, yeah, I think there's going to be rain about tomorrow. Tomorrow's one of those days where it's got sunshine, white clouds, black clouds, 1 drop of rain, 2 drops of rain on the little icons.
Well, I think the way it works here is you pick any one of the icons and anything could come out. It's just like Ireland. Edged away, but short of Michael Leask at backward point. Didn't see Dipender Singh early in the first innings. That continued reluctance to turn to right arm off spin to right-handed batters. It seems to be in effect all throughout the World Game right now. Held sway. Will we see Michael Leask today is the question. He was used sparingly, I think it would be fair to say, by Richie Barrington on the tour of the Netherlands, but I actually thought he bowled really well. I think 3 of the 5 games he had a bowl. As they're going to sprint a quick single. He's so fast, Rohit Paudel. He gets home.
There he is. There's that man. Well, I think he almost has to, unless we start seeing some wickets fall.
There's a famous knit, isn't there, in Scotland, the tartan knit. Just had a lovely rug brought to you. You've been very well looked after here, Mel.
Oh, it's like a poncho.
That could be given as a wide, yeah, 2 short. Delivered by Safi and Sharif. And Sharif is not happy. Remonstrates at length with the square leg umpire. He thinks that this was a good bouncer. Side-on replay will tell us whether or not that was too short, but Sharif, you rarely see him that animated. He was furious. He thought that was a very well delivered, sort of almost a slower ball bouncer, wasn't it? Banged into the surface, pace taken off it. And Sharkey got the decision going his way. Just see if we can bring that to you from our side-on view. Did you think this got over the head of the batter?
Ooh.
Marginal.
It is marginal, definitely. It's definitely marginal, that one. I can understand why he's a bit unhappy.
Not a tall man, Bim Sharkey. There isn't a huge amount of height in general in the Nepal side. Really just Gulshan Jha pushing that sort of 6-foot marker.
Speaking of which...
Hooked away, man out there, juggles it and prevents the boundary but can't hold on to the catch. Now some of the fans are signalling it should be 6, but I think it will be given as a single.
Jasper Davidson has actually just shrugged, saying he doesn't know if he was able to keep that ball in.
Oh, I think it should have been 6. Well, that's 2 in 2 innings now, isn't it?
Cancel
really,
each other out.
Really clatters into a member of the crowd as well. That probably a little bit like the one we saw in the first innings. Ironically, it was Bim Sharkey in the field. It was a great saying, Mother Cricket will always end up getting you back. And Bim Sharkey's missed out on a maximum here. Not dismissed, but I think he was definitely over the rope in the first innings, catching Michael Leask. And this time, I think Davidson, indeed, as the Nepal fans, eagle-eyed, were correct. That should have been given as a maximum too.
Funny how it comes around. Halfway mark. And Nepal almost halfway to the total with plenty of wickets in hand. And it's the 8 wickets in hand, I think, that is quite important. And we are going to see Michael Leask come into the attack. And I think that is the sign. Desperately need to find a breakthrough from somewhere. Scotland. Michael Leask, who describes himself as a hyper dafty, one of the biggest personalities in this Scotland side.
Don't think there'll be many Nepal fans who'll understand what that means.
Hyper dafty. Why don't you explain?
I think I'll leave that one to you, Mel. It's one of your favourites. He's going to come round the wicket, right arm around.
Hyper dafty. Hyper, very excitable. daft, or daft if you're Scottish.
He's a character.
He's a
Michael
character,
Leask.
yes.
Reverse sweep immediately comes out and gets it around the corner and will get 4. Good positive start from Bim Sharkey against the right arm off spinner. Not hitting with the spin, but choosing to exploit the field because there's no slip in place. And it beats Richie Berrington to his left and races to the rope.
Yeah, I like that aggression first up. Put the pressure back on Leask straight away. Brings it out again.
Yeah, good execution and skills has brought the man at short third a little bit finer. Just trying to get some blood flowing into the hands, isn't he? Even Leask, who's played so much cricket, not just here, but up in his native Aberdeen, north of here, the world's most northerly ODI venue that there is finding it more than a bit chilly. Has brightened up a touch, though. It was very dark maybe 30, 40 minutes ago. Just getting a bit brighter now.
Brighter, not warmer. I can confirm.
There are a few hardy souls.
Someone's just walked past in shorts.
Yeah, madness. Absolute madness. Well run too. They're back for the second. The equation continues to hover at in and around a run a ball. Nepal will be pleased with their position?
Very much so. Still, I think the key is they've been able to stay in touch with that run rate and they're not losing wickets. Still 8 in hand. And we were looking at the fact that they do have some depth in this batting lineup. I think they'll be feeling, if they keep going as they are, every chance of winning.
Probably pitched outside leg. Don't think a lot going for that appeal. Leask is interested, but won't get the decision going in his favour. He's bowled his first. 7 runs come from it. It's 146 for 2. Get a look at the bowling figures here. Get a sense that Richie Berrington is just kind of trying to find the right option, isn't he? Maybe could have argued one more for Jack Jarvis would have been the play in his opening burst, but he's going to turn back to Brandon McMullen now. There isn't really another bowling option, is there, in this lineup for Scotland? It's going to have to be between these 6.
Yeah, back in the day, Richie Berrington would have brought himself on to bowl, but those days are well and truly gone.
If you go and shake hands with Richie Berrington right now, you'll understand why. I don't think he could grip the ball even if he wanted to.
How's he gripping the bat?
Well, it's incredible, actually. That's why that century against the Netherlands was truly remarkable. Very nasty hand injury. Just missed that ball there. Apologies. As McMullen comes back in from the pavilion end. Which, yeah, nasty injury, that's why he's hiding himself in the field. And he went on that tour of Zimbabwe, only played 1 game. I think he got out for a low score. And you kind of watched him move in the field in the first couple of games of the tour of the Netherlands. Don't think this was edged. No, Matthew Cross's reaction might say different.
That's a reaction from him that suggests, yeah, the head goes back. There might have been a little feather in there.
See if we can bring you a replay of that ball in a moment. Yeah, the reaction from Cross, it wasn't an audible noise, but it's such a windy day. Hard to tell. Always difficult up to the stumps. He did take one unbelievable takeoff. Brad Curry, that was in the most recent series in the Netherlands. Just seeing here, Well, maybe an indication just from the reaction. Not going to be able to tell from that angle. Might have been a feather of an outside edge, Mel.
Yeah, I think it might have been. It's a very, very tough ask, of course, keeping up to the stumps, trying to take those feathers. I mean, he's done it before. Arguably the best keeper in the associate game.
Yeah, I think often for those who know their wicket keeping, they'll know that standing up to the stumps, it either sticks or it doesn't. It's not so much a case of actually dropping the catch. Another wonderful piece of glove work there. You just got to get yourself into the right positions and almost kind of hope that it sticks. Good over though, much more like it from McMullen. This is exactly what we saw in the Netherlands again and again. A lack of consistency in his first spell, often his second, and then he just finds a way to come back, get 3 or 4 wickets in the latter stages. Probing away here.
Yeah, that was a lovely ball.
Going to be a maiden over. All of a sudden, Scotland just applying the brakes. 27 bowled. It is 146 for 2.
I think that might be the first maiden that we've seen for Scotland's bowlers. Now, just a little look at the worm, and as you can see, Nepal they've been going neck for neck on that worm, but just falling a little bit below now at this point.
Yeah, the crucial thing though is that this was the exact period where Scotland lost 2 wickets in 3 overs. The two set men, Berrington and Tier, both got out to Karen KC. Even if they remain behind, even if that required run rate goes up to 7.5 and over, that shouldn't concern Nepal. Keep those wickets in hand. You've got the 6-hitting pair of Dipender Singh Airi and Gulshan Jadeh. They might look at tweaking that order. It might not be Arif Sheikh that will come in next at number 5, depending upon the situation. So keep building this partnership, growing this partnership, and just keep half an eye on the required run rate. Fascinating period of the game. It could be won or lost here over the next 8 or 10 overs.
So this is a good start to Lee's second over. Just coming off the back of a maiden, remember, so 9 dot balls in a row. That's not going to be a 10th though. This one's got through the gap. Munsey's chasing.
Do you believe that about George Munsey? Red hot form, definitely the form of his life, maybe the most informed batter in the international game. Signed up by the Karachi Kings, goes out, doesn't play a game.
Yeah. There are lots of things that happen in franchise cricket that make no sense to me whatsoever. At times when it comes to drafts or auctions or whatever it is, and you're thinking, how has this happened? How is this player going for this and this player is not? And it's so many things happening. Get players out, end up not playing.
Do you have it on good report that Brandon McMullen was actually offered a 1-game deal to go out as well? This one's helped around the corner, but there's protection out there. Jack Jarvis right in front of a freezing pair of us in the commentary box right there, as you're applying some hand warmers to your face, I believe.
I am.
It's definitely not makeup pads, no?
No.
They look like makeup pads.
I'm trying to warm up my cheeks with them.
Shocking carry on here in the commentary box. 150's up. End of the 28th, it's 151 for 2. Really good partnership, this one. Ever reliable is Rohit Paudel, and Bim Sharkey's having an excellent tour. It looks as though he's the one that's going to continue his good form. Just been dried up a few runs, starting to come a bit more slowly of late though.
Yeah, Mark Watts started with the squeeze, and then I was trying to find out who was going to go with him. But this is much better from Brandon McMullen coming back into the attack.
Great diving effort from Finlay McCreath, who gets something on it to maybe save a run as Safian Sharif comes up from long off. The brilliance of McMullen's all-round skills with the keeper up to the stumps, when he gets his length right, which he'd done for such a consistent period during the start of his career, it's very difficult to come down the track to. Just didn't get it right in his early spell. But he's back on the length now, and as a consequence, you just bowl a lot of dots.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to him just about sort of what is happening. Maybe he's searching for swing in that early spell. Maybe just looking a bit too hard for it. It certainly wasn't swinging particularly much in his first spell.
A little bit shorter this time. Bowling at good velocity as well. I'm not saying he's quick. He's never quick, but just in terms of his zip and his rhythm, he looks like he's very much at home here. There's an irony, isn't it? Because obviously he grew up as a schoolboy down in South Africa. I think he was, my sources are correct, I think he was at the Glenwood High School, wasn't he, in Durban? As this goes straight up, and McMullen, has he created a chance? He has, and it's held. It was an excellent period of pressure being applied by Scotland, and in particular McMullen in his comeback spell. He rarely goes wicketless, and he is the big wicket of Bim Sharkey.
Well, the opportune time, and this is what dot balls do. He bowled a maiden the previous over. Good take in the end by McCreath, who had to watch that one the whole way over his shoulder on the run. Made sure of it. It's been a good innings by Sharkey, but he departs for 40. And it is the third wicket to fall. 152 for 3 now. Nepal. Is that the breakthrough that changes things?
Yeah, big wicket, and one, Mel, to be honest, that I think Bim Sharkey will take a look back at and say, well, hold on, I probably didn't need to play that shot and might have just allowed that pressure to get to him. We'll bring Arif Sheikh to the crease. I think that makes a lot of sense with still more than 20 overs to bat. Gary Metcalf, the Scottish team physio, helping, I think it is McCreath, with a little bit of treatment after that catch that he took. Liam Naylor there amongst the substitutes running the drinks.
And Ollie Davidson as well, out there wearing the sunglasses and the orange vest. I don't know if you want us to have another look at this wicket. Just dried up the runs. Again, getting that little bit of extra bounce.
I don't know if it
Catching
is
the top edge.
I think, if anything, it's the toe of the bat, isn't it? It's just an ungainly hack across the line. Not a shot that Bim Sharkey will look or want to look twice at. As the treatment continues for McCreath, just needed to patch up wherever he took that catch. McMullen very, very rarely goes wicketless, and yet again he finds a way to find that breakthrough. Arif Sheikh will now have to rebuild with the skipper at the other end.
So, 4 balls into this over.
No ball. Second no ball of McMullen's spell. And that'll give a free hit to Rohit Powdell. The field can at least change for Scotland, but I can't quite believe or understand why Brandon McMullen is bowling no balls. 2 today.
He's really unhappy as well. I was just about to say, in the 10 balls, he'd given away 1 run and taken a wicket as well. That's just spoiled it a little bit. They are changing the field, of course. They're just pushing back long off. Just making a few more adjustments, actually. Richie Berrington's coming in to have a chat with McMullen. settled. They're just sending deep backwards square up. There you go, straight. So damage limited, shall we say.
It does help when you change the field. Makes such a difference, particularly this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Nepal should still be feeling as though, use that old moniker of doubling your score from the 30 over marker. Think about that. They very much have this chase in control. They're actually slightly behind where Scotland were at this stage. But remember, Scotland, the runs really dried up between the 25th and the 40th over. So despite the loss of Sharkey in that over, they should still feel confident they can chase this down. 29 balled, 155 for 3. Here's the batters to come, Mel, for Nepal. I'd imagine the way we have it right now is likely the order that they might line up in, unless Mark Watt is in the midst of his spell, and maybe they'll think about promoting Gulshan Jha up the order. That could be an option, but Dipendra Singh Airi, who's got the most phenomenal record in T20I cricket and plenty to do with his ODI record to catch that up, will want to impact the game. On the leg side, helped around the corner. Irie will get 4. Not the right line. Watt getting a bit too greedy. Might be given as leg buys. I think it will be. Interesting. Thought he got something on that, but maybe just a flick of the pad and no more, as it was speared in by Mark Watt. Get us to the end of the 32nd.
Yeah, I thought he'd got something on that.
167 for 4. We think that that's the over up. Umpire has a look at his counter. Mark Watt delivers what we think is going to be a 7-ball over. Dipendra Singh Airi will say thank you very much. We'll pick up another couple. Very nearly picks up a boundary. Davidson does well with the reverse hands. Pretty sure that was a 7-ball over. Scorers will have to adjust that. It's now 169 for 4. How crucial could that be, Mel?
Yeah, wow.
All 3 scoring services have that as a 7-ball over.
7-ball over. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Might prompt a few discussions. In fact, and he's just gone to check. So Brandon McMullen is going to continue what has been a remarkable comeback spell. 3rd spell of the match. It's been incredibly productive. Maiden, wicket maiden. What does he come up with this time?
Wind continues to buffet us here in Broughty Ferry. McMullen's going to continue. Nicely guided single. Amazing to think that Mark Watt has been kept wicketless through 6 of his overs. I think every indication is pointing towards that being a 7-ball over. We'll get that checked for you. Nepal, they never do anything easily, do they? Or simply, they're affectionately known around the world by their fans as the cardiac kids for the heart-stopping drama that they seem to eternally bring to all of their games. You can't think of many games that they play whereby
they do it easily.
They do anything easily. I can't remember a game they really. I remember they won one by against Papua New Guinea in that 11 wins from 12 run. I think they won it by 9 or 10 wickets. Asif Sheikh got a big score. Yeah, confirmation it was indeed a 7-ball over. Our scorers were right on the money. Don't see too many of them. We had an utterly hilarious one in the Netherlands. You're not going to believe this. From Vivian Kingma, where we had a 4-ball over delivered. Bowler went all the way back down to long leg, had taken his jumper, and then everyone did a double take and realised that they'd only bowled 4 in the over. And all was well that ended well. It was a good diving stop. We'll save 3 runs and still get the single.
Well, let's just hope this game doesn't come down to 2 runs. let's put it out there.
Well, it could well. It's still
Hell no.
brewed up for an incredibly tight finish. It really is.
Oh my goodness, that wind has picked up. Oh.
Just 1 over remains of McMullen after this. Will Berrington bowl him out?
I think so, because he's still got Sharif. For the end, just while he's on this streak now, I would. He may not, of course, but because if he could pick up 1 more wicket in this little golden spell that he's having, then they will start to think that they are getting on top of this Nepal side.
Yeah, the Nepal fans are very much riding the wave of emotions. I've just seen one update saying, oh, the momentum heavily towards Scotland now as we're approaching that second drinks break. Do have to love the sheer obsession and fanaticism for cricket in Nepal. And you do occasionally get some takes that are a little bit over the top, but we do love the passion. Lovely to hear the messages coming in, and even a lovely message from Manish Dev Badarai, who was listening and watching online, didn't know whether or not he could still come to the game because he thought the tickets were sold out. And he's just sent a lovely photo saying, thank you for the advice at Cricket Badge, Andrew, because I'm now watching it live and enjoying every second. So great to be of service, great to help. Remember, you can come along and enjoy the action in person here for the coming games. You can even still get down and enjoy the action if you're close to Dundee. And great to hear from you all watching on. A reminder, as we get to that second drinks break, I think it'll be the last over before that second drinks. If you do want to get in touch, use that hashtag CWCL2. We will try to get some of those questions in the coming moments, and you can get in touch directly with me, Andrew Leonard at Cricket Badge, or Mel Farrell at Melinda Farrell on either Twitter or Instagram's easiest. Just tell us where you're watching from. Lovely to hear which part of the world you're in. That one speared in and cut away, one of Irie's favourite shots, but a good stop, diving stop from Michael Leask. Inside edge saves Irie this time. Just getting a touch bogged down. Watt is probing away.
This is really good pressure building now from a Scotland perspective. Exactly what they wanted with those 2 wickets.
It really is causing all sorts of problems. His accuracy it's imperious, isn't it? He just doesn't miss too often, Mark Watts.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent bowler. Thinks about his plans a huge amount. Doesn't bring out the piece of paper anymore that he used to.
End of the 34th over. It will get us to that second drinks break. A reminder, if you have any questions, get them in. Use that hashtag CWCL2. or directly to me, Andrew Leonard, at Cricket Badge. You got Mel Farrell with me. She's at Melinda Farrell, and we'll read out those questions in the coming 10 to 15 minutes as we get through and into the latter stages of what's been a thoroughly engaging contest and very much worth the 7-month wait for Nepal to come back into ODI action. They are very much in this contest, and it hangs beautifully in the balance, as it has done really throughout the second innings. Nepal, 174 for 4. Underneath it, did he, Mark Watt, but somehow he's held on, and from his very final delivery, Brandon McMullen has found a way to get a 3-wicket haul, and Dipendra Singh Ari falls.
Well, playing across the line, it's been a day for top edges, and this wind is so strong here. I think that's been swirling and swirling. Mark Watt, just at the very end, drops down. Very difficult in this wind. But what a turnaround from McMullen, and finishes off with 3 wickets. Didn't look anything like taking one in his first 2 spells, but this has been quite brilliant from McMullen. And now things do get much more difficult for Nepal. $176 for 5 with 15 overs remaining. You see now for the first time that required run rate has just crept up over 8. Gulshan, new batter in. So they are sticking with the batting order as originally slated. Now, McMullen's bowled out.
This is what Scotland do so effectively. Even if they don't quite have the scale of penetration in the attack that they would like, they find a way. Now, Nepal, whilst Irie was there, they had a lot to do. They have it all to do, and it's going to need a trademark Gulshan counter-attacking innings alongside support from Arif Sheikh and maybe contributions from the old guard of Kami and KC to come to give Nepal a chance. They have a lot to do here, they really do, and Scotland will just not allow them out of this stranglehold that they have them in.
Well, that's it. It just takes a couple of good overs for Nepal, and all of a sudden that changes the situation massively. But I don't think they're going to get that big over against Mark Watt. He's still wicketless, which we thought might go a long way to bringing Nepal back into this. Where do you think Richie Berrington turns next as far as bowlers go now, Lenny, that McMullen has bowled out?
Yeah, you'd imagine probably Jack Jarvis would be the one who'll be given the call, but with the left-hander at the crease there might be a temptation to get Michael Leask into the game. Spin from both ends could be an option, even if it's just for 2 or 3 overs. His natural inclination is to attack. Will get off the mark immediately. He's a very positive player. As McMullen, the all-action cricketer that he is, slides to help keep it to a single. Alongside Leask, who's nearby. End of the 36th, 178 for 5. There are the bowling options for Scotland. You would imagine that if it's not going to be Leask now, it'd probably be Jarvis. Safian Sharif, obviously, the other option. Davidson will be used at the death more predominantly. He's really the only kind of out-and-out death bowling option that they have. Jarvis can be expensive at the death. The problem for Nepal, all of a sudden, that required run rate has escalated up to 8.5 runs per over.
Yeah, it's happened very quickly, hasn't it? See that last over from Watt, just the 2 singles coming from it. That is why Jarvis it is who returns. Brains trust there, the experience of Sharif, leadership of Barrington.
You've got to admire Scotland, don't you, in terms of the way in which, lacking that X factor, lacking that pace of Seoul and Maine or anyone up kind of over 140 kilometres per hour, they find a way. They so often find a way. I thought there was a brilliant piece I was reading last night. The Halfway Up Middle podcast team posted out. We're exemplifying just how difficult it is. I think the piece was written by Chris about, without Brad Curry's wickets, I know it's a very small sample size, and Brandon McMullen, there just aren't a huge number of wickets coming for Scotland. It was a high-scoring series over the Netherlands. There was that lovely early season weather that made the pitches very good in both the VRA and Utrecht. The 2 grounds are looking absolutely resplendent in the early summer sunshine or the late spring sunshine. But Curry took 10 wickets despite missing the first game. McMullen took 10 wickets. Outside of that, Jarvis, Watt, Davidson, Castle, Sharif and Leask all averaged the best part of 40 or more per wicket. Now, Watt's economy rate was exemplary, and I think he went at 4. Lovely cover drive. That's going to race to the rope. Nepal will need plenty more of that from Gulshan Jha. Slightly overpitched, but beautifully punished by Gulshan Jha.
See Jarvis blowing his cheeks out in frustration. Unhappy with that. It's the first boundary that we've seen in a long time. Without necessarily having a lot of penetration, Scotland they've just chipped away at it. They've just squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. They don't have a lot of variety. Don't have a lot of out and out pace either. But they've, I guess, turned to those the old adage that when you do just apply that pressure through sharp fielding, through good fielding placements, trying to keep things tight, eventually the pressure will force out a wicket.
Another square drive. Should pick up a second comfortably enough.
I love the way over there. As soon as the ball's hit in that direction, you get a swarm of people running behind it, running around behind it, hoping that they can get their hands on the ball.
Yeah, not where you want to be fielding if you're a Scottish fielder, because you're going to be under the maximum of pressure. And maybe even a little bit of sledging here and there. All good-natured, of course, if you've ever been to Nepal or met anyone of Nepalese origin. Always great joy and great senses of humour.
So after a really tight period where they were getting less than 4 and over, after 37 overs now, so first one by Jarvis back into the attack, goes for 7, and Nepal 185 for 5.
Keep bringing up this runworm, Mel, because it's now definitely starting to get into a territory where, being 5 down, Nepal are getting themselves into trouble. More than 100 required. Need to keep those wickets in hand, but also keep an eye on getting that scoreboard ticking over. You could even maybe, let's say, just get 15 from the next 3, but not lose a wicket. That would make it the best part of 100 off the last 10. But they'd at least have the 5 wickets in hand, as it will be Michael Lease to come in to bowl his 4th over with the left-handed Gulshan Jat at the crease. No slip in place, interestingly, though. It thought that Barrington might have been tempted to call George Munsey into action in there, or maybe get Mark Watt in. Instead, it's a reasonably defensive field. This is cut away, and cut away stylishly. That'll be a boundary. The matchup works against the bowler in this case, as Gulshan Jat picks up that length very quickly and guides it away for 4.
He's made a real difference already since coming to the crease as Gulshan Jat. Just dragged that one down a little, did Michael Lease.
Key thing about getting a boundary early in the over, just applies pressure on the bowler. With Lease just not in form with the bat or with the ball, he was, I think, acutely aware that Bim Sharkey might have, albeit very accidentally, done him out of what could have been a maximum, the ball that he was a judge caught out on. Now we'd 1 in each innings, haven't we? Plenty of Nepal fans saying, why didn't they check the one that Bim hit out towards Davidson? And that's taken. Not a good delivery, but Arif Sheikh can only pick out Richie Barrington around the corner. Scotland of 6, and now are applying a very tight clamp upon this game. And the delighted Scottish captain, even though he's trying to hide himself in the field, well, he was never going to drop that.
Doesn't matter how many bandages he has on his hands, they're a pretty safe pair. Richie Barrington, Sheikh, departing for 7. Now Nepal, they really are under pressure.
Yeah, not the innings that Arif Sheikh will have wanted, and what a delivery to get out to. I think Michael Lease will even admit that, well, this was a long hop. It could have been hit anywhere. Not a good delivery, and just hit straight into the hands of Richie Barrington. Some late evening sunshine is greeting us, and it's putting a very beautiful gloss on the Scottish performance, as it will be Sampal Kami to come to the crease, and that could have been interesting. I wonder would he have been called back here, because Gulshan Jat got himself in a tangle. I was surprised that Mark Watt threw it. Lease can apologise now, but what would have happened if the stumps were hit here? Probably would have stood, wouldn't it? I thought actually Lease had done him a nuisance to Jat, but Jat just ended up falling over himself, really. And that would have been a disaster. They would have lost 2 and 2 balls, and that probably would have been that, but Jat survives.
Well, and while he's out there, Nepal still have a chance, but the task is really getting more and more difficult each over, especially now with only 4 wickets in hand. Run rate creeping up towards 9 now.
What a bonus wicket that was,
was
for Richie Barrington. Brought on Michael Lease to have a bowl at the left-hander, but it could have easily been 2, and I think that would have been gone. Certainly with 3 stumps to aim at. Mark Watt throwing with his good angle. The left-hander probably should have affected that run out. Lease continues to find a way to impact the game, even when he's not in his best form.
So Jack Jarvis it will be, continuing from the pavilion end. It's a lot brighter now. We're getting a lot more blue sky coming our way now, as you can see there. Full shadows of the players. So brightening up a lot after that gloomy period. Certainly brightening up for Scotland in the context of this match.
Jack Jarvis into his 6th over now. Strays down the leg side. Misses everything, giving us a wide. For Nepal, even if they go down to defeat here, there's been plenty of good moments, isn't there? Not the start that Stuart Law would have wanted, of course he won't, but even if they come up short, there's so many things to take from this contest against a very fine Scottish side on home soil.
Absolutely. Particularly early on with some of those periods of bowling. I thought they did really well to pull it back.
Beauty somehow misses everything this one. Sampal Kami completely squared up, ends up facing down the wicket. Easily could have hit the off stump.
Just a wry smile from Jack Jarvis there. A little word with the umpire. He can't quite believe that missed everything as well. But it's just been a good contest in general, these two. Throwing punch and counter punch. It's yet another tame dismissal. They're stacking up here. Rohit Powdell, Arif Sheikh. You can now add Sampal Kami to that list. Probably threw the shot a little early and just, well, lobs up the simplest of catches for George Munsey. And all of a sudden, a contest that has been neck and neck for, well, almost every delivery of the first 80% of the game is swinging heavily towards the Scots. Yeah, that ball just angling down the leg side, and it's really just a tame chip in the end. Can't quite believe he's done it. Now, it's a ball probably would normally expect to put away, but Sampal Kami is the latest in what's becoming a little bit of a procession. He's gone for 1 run of just 4 deliveries. Jack Jarvis with his 2nd wicket, and Nepal just starting to subside now. Just a very tame little chip there. Picked out Munsey. Couldn't have picked him out better if he tried.
Great ruthlessness from Scotland in terms of execution and knowing when they were getting into the game. And they've just refused to give the opposition anything after a rather errant start with the ball. Jack Jarvis has a 2nd. Masterclass from Richie Berrington yet again. So he really, his captaincy has just grown and grown over the last, well, particularly 18 months since he first took over the job from Kyle Coates. Probably didn't sit overly comfortably with him for the first year or so.
They've certainly grown into it. I mean, when you make bowling changes and wickets follow, you do have to give your captain a good bit of credit for that.
Particularly the impact of Brandon McMullen in that 3rd spell. It's
amazing.
Completely changed the game.
That is incredible. I can't quite get over it.
In fact, it could well be Charlie Tier that'll be the player of the match, but actually for me, the one that's actually won Scotland this game, and it's ludicrous to think, what did he get? I don't know, 15 or 20 with the bat, something to that effect. 19 he made off 31 balls. Didn't look himself out there with the bat, but his 3 wickets in this 2nd innings have changed this game. They've turned it on its head.
Massively. Look, that's what he's not his best game by any stretch of the imagination, but he still has that impact on matches.
Don't rule out Nepal yet. Karen KC, very capable.
I don't rule them out.
Gulshan Jha is certainly the type who plays these wonderful counter-attacking knocks from that number 6, number 7 area. And he tends to only play in one manner. He plays aggressively. Karen KC can play in a number of ways, but he also, probably nobody in the history of cricket in Nepal hits a bigger ball than him. And Sandeep Lamachani has shown us that career best recently last year in King City.
Oh,
smashed all the way, clocked towards the clock, wasn't it? An amazing strike that I think is going to fly all the way. Just waiting for the signal, but given a 6. Outstanding pull shot from Gulshan Jha.
Well, dropped in short. He was inviting the shot. He you're obliged. That went an age. We've seen one go all the way over the fence. Didn't go quite that far, but that's why you don't rule Nepal out. Gulshanjar's there.
Nice to see the sun come out. Gulshanjar will keep fighting right to the death. Don't rule out a late twist or two here. This is the Cardiac Kids we're talking about. 39 have been bowled, 199 for 7. Let's get to some of those comments. I can imagine there's a few Nepal fans wondering about, is this a case of old habits dying hard? Sandesh is giving out about Dipender Singh Airi being named as the vice captain after just one game. Give him some time, please. Sagar also questioning, why is Dipender Singh Airi in the ODI team? I think you can look at his raw figures and certainly question his performances in ODI cricket. I think he's only averaging, something like 18, isn't he? Has that career century to his name. But give him time, and certainly I would like to see him bowl a little bit more. Michael Harley watching on, saying that Mel and yourself made a very good point about the one-pace Scottish bowling attack. But he said what they do very well is they bowl in partnership brilliantly, and they've got good variety as to how they do bowl.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You have seen them bowl in those partnerships, and that pressure that they've been able to build.
Great diving stop from Leask, saves it. Well, maybe a second run. Do get through for the single in the end. Do have more questions coming in about the tickets. cricketscotland.com. Go on there and buy those in advance. You want to be guaranteed your spot. That's the only way to make sure you can be here, but they will take money on the gate as well. That's an option. I think it's pretty good value as well, £20 for all of the games. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone come along over the course of the coming 10 days to here in Dundee, and then on with you, Mel, to Glasgow for the T20Is. It'll be great prep for Scotland and the Netherlands, and indeed Nepal, for their upcoming T20 World Cup qualifiers. Scotland and Netherlands will be in Europe, and then Nepal will be in Oman, won't they, as they look to make it back-to-back T20 World Cup appearances after being one of the stories of the tournament, really, last year in the USA and the Caribbean.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, that qualifier that Netherlands, as they take a single in the Netherlands with Netherlands and Scotland, oh boy, that's a tight one. I know, in particular, Italy is making many people think twice. Normally you'd think Scotland, Netherlands, favourites to go through, but that Italian side has got a lot of talent in it.
200's up as Nepal now enter the third and final power play with only 3 wickets in hand. Bit of a disastrous last 10 overs for them. The game swung heavily towards Scotland, but don't rule anything out whilst these two are still at the crease. It's 201 for 7. What can you identify in this batting card as being the most disappointing? If you look at, I suppose, a number of the dismissals, Bim Sharkey, Rohit Paudel, Arif Sheikh, Dipender Singh Airi and Sampal Kami in particular, those 5 all getting out to fairly limp dismissals. Particularly Bim Sharkey's stroke right across the line of McMullen probably wasn't needed. It's hitting against the wind. Airi also getting guilty of trying to hit against the wind. Paudel, of all people, he had a half volley straight to cover.
That is definitely the most disappointing aspect of the innings. From just especially after they've got themselves starts. We saw the way Charlie Tier applied himself throughout in Scotland's innings, and he had his chances as well. He had some inside edges, rode his luck a little bit as well, but just that whole idea of getting established, getting into the 30s, and then basically handing your wicket by chipping the ball straight to fielders. I think that'll be the biggest concern.
Worked into the leg side. It'll just be a single. Good question here from James Schumacher, watching on from Dorset. He says he's an avid, die-hard Cricket World Cup League 2 follower, loves watching the best of the associate game. He's just wondering about any background story behind Michael English. He's that one solitary Scotland appearance, the one century. We were both here for it. Where is he now? Is he still on the radar? I think he's just had a first child, so that's why he missed out the tour of the Netherlands. Very much going to be in and around and in the mix, but didn't make the squad for this particular series. I don't think with the way in which he plays he'd necessarily be in the T20I reckoning. He'd be more of an ODI player. And then I think the problem for English was that when it came to the Tour of Texas last November, they had Andrew Mead available, they had Michael Jones available, so despite that wonderful innings on debut against Namibia, he's probably just missing out at the moment. There's a lot of depth in the Scottish batting.
Yeah, and it was such a shame he'd waited so long for his opportunity, and he came in and everybody was so delighted. I can't recall teammates being so happy for someone as they were for Michael English that day, and he was very emotional as well.
Nicely driven, that on drive. Safi and Sharif had to be at his best to stop that.
But it is so tricky for Scotland in managing their resources because there's just no consistency of when players can be available or not. We just never know. And there is that standard line that always comes out with the press release. And other players were considered but are unavailable for personal or county or whatever it is.
Inside edge, but inside edge for a single. Karen Casey is a real fan favourite, and every run he hits is going to be cheered to the rafters.
We've had a lot of inside edges today that have just missed the stumps. Quite a lot. This is just such a good squeeze, though, from Scotland. Jack Jarvis now doing his part. Gulshan Jar's, of course, been able to get a few balls away. But Jarvis, if you can just get out of this over with another dot or a single, very much job done from him in this over.
Helped around the corner, helped away for 4. Gulshan Jar will take this game very deep if he's still here in the 50th over. Do not turn off your sets just yet. It's 2:09 for 7.
Just going a little bit short and angling down the leg side, so all it really needed was helping on its way. And Jarvis, just after saying if you could get out of that over, he bowls his poorest ball on the last ball. Michael Leask is going to continue his spell. He's played his part today. Another who, not in his best form, but still finds a way to contribute. Just with a single. So now that run rate creeping up to almost 10 and over. Still gettable.
Well, I don't think any of the Nepal fans will be leaving, and they're continuing to believe, aren't they? Gulshan Jar, Karen KC, utterly adored. Two men, probably the opposite ends of their career to some extent, but very much all-round skills. And Sandeep Lamachani will be chomping at the bit to get out there to contribute too. It is 10 and over. It's a very tall task. Plenty of boundaries needed. Can they rally that 12th player, get them behind the visiting side, and maybe just put Scotland under a little bit of pressure as the sun continues to try to end the day in some style? Leask bowled effectively here, isn't he,
really?
Mel?
Yeah.
He's just, he knows that the batter's going to come after him, and he's spearing them in and not allowing any boundary balls.
Yeah, it's a good defensive. They've got defensive fields set up for Leask as well. Just that experience. That last one was a leg by. just knowing almost the holding role. Another good defensive piece of bowling. Need just two or three really good overs, Nepal, and then they're right back in it. It's not going to be easy though. A little bit of extra pace from Jasper Davidson might actually help them.
Scotland had real problems at the death. Different kind of batting surfaces, very, very flat wickets at the VRA, and Utrecht and Kampong last month. They had real issues at the death. Davidson, Jarvis, Castle all going the distance towards the latter stages. KC gets one into the screws, hits exactly where we're talking about and flies for four. Game on here if these two get going. That's a fine stroke. It's not where you want to bowl to Karen KC.
And that extra pace back on, the ball just pinging off the bat is right in the slot. So Scotland just need to be a little bit careful here. Davidson, after all that graft to get themselves into that position, the squeeze, the pressure.
Remarkably, mid-off is staying up in the circle. Casey only hits to one part of the ground. That's straight down the ground. Pulls the length back, so he's happy to check it down for what will be a single. Gulshan Jha loves it down over that long on region. Again, that'll be hitting with the prevailing breeze to some extent. This is the over now. They have to go with this over, get that required run rate back under 10s and start to put pressure on the Scottish bowlers.
Yeah, it really does need to be this over. Particularly with Davison coming back into the attack, having gone for quite a few runs in his earlier spell. I would not be surprised to see them go on the attack again this next ball. Really, really turn the screws. And ask Davidson, well, what are you going to do next? Long on back, mid-off up.
Guided away for what will be just a single, but you can just see there's something brewing here.
Yeah.
Wind is continuing to get up. They need to use that wind where they can, hit cleverly. You think about Gulshan Jha, he can target over cow corner into the leg side off Davidson. The left-hand, right-hand combination will be a benefit.
So far been a good little comeback from Davidson though, because you can tell they want to attack him. Got the first boundary away, but he's if he can get out of this one and feel pretty happy with himself going for full first. So it's still up over 10.
Mid-off still up in the circle as well, so anything full, KC's only going to go in one direction. I wonder will he even maybe consider using his feet, getting down the pitch towards a quick bowler. Instead it's short, it's pulled into the deep. George Munsey's out there, over his head. Maybe the biggest cheer of the entire day. It is the big over that Nepal needed to get this chase really up and moving again. The Nepal fans, certainly, they still believe.
It's just a microcosm of the game in this one over. Banged it in short. That's trying to hurry him. Munsey thought he was in with a shot for a while. But had just enough on it. By a whole lot. It's time to go straight to the fielder. But that is a terrific over. 13 runs coming from it. Couple more of those and Nepal really in business.
Much much more like it from Nepal. And, well, Karen Casey has been there, he's done that, he's seen it all before. Such a good man to have up your sleeve all the way down at number 9. He loves hitting big sixes, big bombs, as does young Gulshan Jha. You just wonder, will this be the over that might create a chance, though, for Scotland? Nepal will have to continue to attack. It's still in and around 10 and over. This was the maximum here. Great effort from Munsey, but definitely well out of his reach.
Well, Michael Leask has been so good at bowling defensively. This is going to be tested now. Low first ball, another dot. But they can't, at the moment, afford to wait out one over and attack at the other end. Another dot ball.
It's funny again, isn't it? The pace off the ball is the thing that is proving difficult for Nepal to score against today. Might not be the case throughout the series. Remember, Mark Watt still has 2 overs left. That will be given as a wide down the leg side, speared in. Casey's probably going to have to take him on at some point in this over. Remember, he'll be hitting to the leg side with the wind, but there's a lot of protection out there. 3 men on the rope in the deep. He gets himself in a tangle. Leask is proving untouchable. I wonder, are we going to see a lot of spin in these last 7 overs? You'd imagine that Watt's going to bowl out at some point as well.
It would seem crazy not to bowl out Watt, because he has been tight as well. Mark Watt bowled 8 overs, hasn't taken a wicket, but it's gone at around 4 and over, none for 33. I wonder when we will see him come back. It might even be the next over.
The way in which Jha and KC are approaching this chase seems to indicate they think that they can still take it deep. They can get, 12 or 14 and over off the last 3 overs if there's pace on. They're just struggling to score off the spinners. Wonder, will KC take a chance here? Clearly going to be the leg side that he will target, hitting with a very stiff breeze. But instead, for the moment, he's happy just to check it down and keep it to less risk. Running out of time here, Nepal.
1 ball left to attack Leask.
It's good bowling, isn't it? Just really 4 runs from the over. Excellent from Michael Leask.
Yeah, really good stuff from Leask. Just gave them nothing. Fired that ball in. And yet again, then the pressure now drops back onto the batters. We're going to see Jasper Davidson continue. Expensive in his last over.
That wind is the strongest it's been throughout the day.
It really is.
And certainly for Nepal to get close here, they're going to need a massive over here. Pace on. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Stuart Law's first game as head coach. Been a desperately tough conditions that the game has been played through, particularly for Nepal. It's been cold, it's been blustery, the pitch has had a bit in it for the bowlers. Nepal, who didn't start well with the ball, fought back so well in the second half of that first innings, are still in with a fighting chance, but they're going to have it all to do. It's 11 runs required per over. Now long off will go back. It means third will come up into the circle. There are 3 men in the deep on the offside. That's because of that wind. And only 2 in the deep on the leg side. Could walk across and attempt the scoop. It's not really a shot that Karen Casey plays. He likes to go down the ground. Fans reaching fever pitch. Starts to the wide, outside the offside.
It's a good option. It just didn't quite execute it because bowling outside the off stump on that side, that is the side where the wind is blowing across. So you can see Davidson perhaps trying to dry up runs by bowling that line outside the off stump. And he does have protection out there on the offside boundary. There it goes, that's why. Oh, dropped. The plan was there, it almost worked.
Not sure it's carried.
Has it not?
I don't think it's quite carried to Michael Leask. Just landing in front of him. Yeah, trying to hide it away from the hitting arc. KC slashes it away. I think it might have fallen just agonisingly short.
Yeah,
Michael Leask.
I think he might have misjudged it and hadn't come in perhaps far enough.
Yeah, not easy for Leask out there. Don't think you can call that one a chance.
Okay, I was being harsh. I thought for
on
a
of all
second
people,
got there.
Michael Leask, you're never harsh on him. Usually your absolute favourite. I'll tell you about that later.
Oh,
Gulshan
don't!
Jha now, can he get a hold of Jasper Davidson? Davidson's going to come around the wickets. Dug in, helped away, and helped all the way, hitting with the wind, and it's a bit too easy for Gulshan Jha. That is not a good length and not a good angle. Nepal hanging around in this chase.
Yeah, they are not out of it. Not out of it at all. No easy task, but he's just dragged that one down. And I think the combination of the left hand, right hand is just causing Jasper Davidson a few issues in getting his line right.
It would be only fitting if the Cardiac Kids produce another thriller after such a long wait. Jha is trying to make that the case and make it, he may well. Back-to-back maximums. Excellent batting because he's sized up the bowler, hitting with the wind. And even though he's had to take on Finlay McCreath in the deep, he's got it well over his head. Game on here in Dundee.
Yes, it certainly is, and a bit of crisis management now. Richie Berrington just going and having a chat with Davidson, but this bowling change, we've praised Richie Berrington for making the bowling changes that have brought wickets, but unfortunately, bringing back Jasper Davidson is 2 overs, coming back in. First one went for 13. This one has gone for 14 so far, and there's still 3 legal deliveries to come.
Well, it's classic Nepali cricket. The Cardiac Kids are at it again. Go and get those pulses, those blood pressures, those heart rates checked. They're up to their old tricks here. You never know which way the game is going to swing when they're at it, and Gulshan Jha is on a hot streak. Beats the outside edge this time as he looks to guide it past the man at third in the circle. Feel as though he's missed out there.
Just with these 2 overs, that run rate has now come back down under 10 and over.
Very much you would think that if Jha, let alone if he's there with KC in the 50th and final, Nepal will still have it within their hands. These problems at the death for Scotland continue. Just don't have the pace or the option of a Chris Soul or a Gavin Main. Pressure on young Jasper Davidson. Going to continue around the wicket. Final, in fact, 2 balls still to come. Pulled again, but no timing. Probably lucky he doesn't get more of it, Gulshan Jha, because it would have gone straight to McCreath. What will KC do now? Will he try and get in the act?
More from the Scotland point of view, what does Richie Berrington do now? He's got Leask bowling tightly at one end. So he's got to find 5 more overs at the other end, but Jasper Davidson struggling to contain, particularly Gulshan Jha. Starting to get a bit tense, honey.
Full toss. Hit into the leg side, but Safian Sharif will deal with that. Keep it to a single. Cannot take your eyes off this team. You cannot take your eyes off this league. And you certainly cannot take your eyes off ICC TV right now. 45 have been bowled. The equation is 52 to win off the final 5 overs. Don't go anywhere. 245 for 7. Get a look at the run worm. You're going to see an uptick for Nepal. Very much honours even with 5 to go. Which way is this game going, Mel Farrell?
Oh, you are joking asking me that this right now. Because I don't know. I'm not giving it up either way. But I'm not sure that we'll see a third over in this spell from Jasper Davidson. It's just proving to be, I feel for him, but it's just proving to be a bit too expensive at this stage. And that wind is really picking up.
Well, it must be gusting up over 35 kilometers per hour. It's giving you... And the thing for Leask here is that Casey isn't really known as a leg side hitter. He's known as a straight down the ground hitter. But the wind is, in essence, if anything, not blowing completely square, if anything, a little bit towards sort of a deep backward square leg. It's kind of coming over right across the shoulders, the broad shoulders of Karen Casey. I'm not sure where he's going to look to hit. And the problem for Gulshan Jazz, if he wants to go to the leg side, if he gets on strike, he'll be going against the wind. I think the big overs they're going to need are going to be overs 47 and 49 from the pavilion end. Might be more difficult. Can they get maybe 7 or 8 off this Leask over? Instead, KC tries to hit with the wind. Does he get enough of it? Oh, yes, he does. It goes all the way for 6. The 250's up. Nepal, if anything, are they moving into the ascendancy now?
Well, they might need another ball. Lost another one. This time he just picked up the length, picked up the ball, and the placement too. Option to bring him back. He's bowled in this situation many times for Scotland. It was there to be hit. It was a real tempter in some ways. It's ended up missing everything.
I do sense these are the 2 overs where, with the pace on, might just be more likely for boundaries to come. Again, that hush descends across the ground. Edged away, edged very fine, but deep third is going to do well and keep it to just a single. That's exceptional. I think it's Michael Leask all the way down there. That deep third, not an area he'd usually be in, but that's wonderful fielding.
Yeah, he's a bit of a crackjack in the field. Here's Michael Leask. This is a good over, good, wise choice, I think, to bring Sharif back in. It's 4 runs so far, 2 balls remaining. But now Casey's on strike. Does he attack? Oh, beautifully bowled. He can't attack, not with a ball like that.
He's always been a very fine Yorker bowler, is Safian Sharif. And I think despite the lack of pace, definitely the experience that he brings at the death, something that Scottish cricket's greatest servants maybe should be entrusted a bit more at the death. There's a shot of Casey. He's very deep in the crease, looking for that length to work with. Doesn't get it. Again, the Yorker is nailed. Excellent skills from Safian Sharif, but Casey will at least have the strike, but the task is getting ever taller for Nepal. 38 to win off the last 3 now. It's 259 for 8.
Yes, super over there from Safian Sharif, doing exactly what his captain would want him to. A couple of Yorkers there at the end, making sure he gets out of the over nicely.
Eight wickets down, Mel. Just Rijan Dakal, who won't offer too much at the very end of the bat. It's going to have to be Karen Casey, and almost Karen Casey alone here.
Yeah, it's all on him now. Get support from Lamashani, but if the power hitting is going to come from somewhere, it's going to come from Karen Casey, and he can do it. But Mark Watt has come back into the attack now, as we suspected.
What a way to start the Stuart Law era of Nepalese cricket. It's not really the kind of weather that anyone is enjoying. It's so cold. He's now somehow still wearing the shorts, but he's taken some shelter I think they've got a lot to be proud of, whatever happens. As Karen KC completely mishits this one, so much so that he'll pick up a second. Not the worst result. Mark Watt will probably bowl overs 48 and 50. It's a difficult one for Casey, isn't it? Because his natural hitting arc is down over long on. But because of the strength of that wind, he has to target square the wickets, and Mark Watt will be acutely aware of that and try and hide it away. That's where he likes to hit, down the ground, but because of that wind, you're not going to get it over the head of a fielder, 74, 75 metres away.
Yeah, and you see who Richie Berrington has put down there as well. It's Michael Leask. Just waiting.
Lamachani will target the leg side, but no timing at all. Will KC take the second? I think he's going to turn it down. He wants to strike. He's going to have 3 balls from Mark Watt here. You'd imagine at least 1, if not 2 of these is probably going to need to go over the rope to get Nepal back in the game. 34 required off 15. The broad shoulders of Karen KC. Targets the leg side, surely. Picks it up, gets it all the way. There's the first of them. It was the full toss from Mark Watt. All he needed to do was get it up and into that wind, and Nepal, well, they just won't go away in this game.
All of a sudden, the chase has just turned back towards Nepal as a gentleman there. Don't fall over, sir. Careful on that scaffolding. Heavens above. I managed to find the ball, but don't be surprised if I was that gentleman. I might stay up there because that is exactly the area that Karen Casey is going to target again. Mark Watt has to be really careful here. This is what we thought. Wind assistance, huge factor.
Oh, he's missed out. This is very close. Maybe just missing the leg stump. Watt was convinced. Going to be given, well, not as leg buys, maybe an inside edge, which we didn't see on first viewing. I think KC will feel as though it was there to be hit. One more look at it. Probably angling down anyway. There was an inside edge, so great umpiring under the maximum pressure. Outstanding performance from the 2 umpires today. Every decision spot on the money. Maybe a bit of a free hit for Lamachani. Can he find a boundary? KC's going to want the second. Can he get back onto strike? He touches and goes. Charlie Tier, the fielder. Throw goes to the right end, but Lamachani only just gets home. 2 remain. The game still hangs in the balance. It's 272 for 8.
Well, 28 required off the last 2 overs. And this game is going down to the wire. Absolutely down to the wire. What a brilliant first ODI we've had here at Fort Hill to kick off this round of Cricket World Cup League 2 fixtures.
Safian Sharif to bowl the penultimate over. Full toss, smoked down to the ground! And Safian Sharif has been dispatched from out of the biggest 6 of the day. And it's the broad, heroic shoulders of Karen Casey that's at it yet again for Nepal.
Well, what a mighty blow and a mistake from Sharif. The full toss. It was asking to be hit, and well, Karen Casey doesn't need much of an invitation. That's another ball that might be lost, or it's going to take some finding. But what a shot. And Sharif, he was so tight in his last over, but now just 19 needed from 11 balls. This is turning Nepal's way again. And the fans know it. They can sense it out there.
Well, Cricket World Cup League 2 just continues to deliver every single game in this league. is just unbelievable. Security guards are going to have a real job in their hands keeping these fans from going on the field. If Nepal win this, they may as well give up the chase. I think we'll see a pitch invasion and a match for the ages. Nobody's ever chased more than 240 in an ODI here in Dundee. Nepal have never chased a total this high. They've only got past 300 once in their one-day international history, but they stand 3 big blows away from levelling the scores. KC stands on the brink of a remarkable one-day international 50, hidden away all the way down at number 9. Questions about whether he should still even be in the squad coming into this tour. And the 33-year-old, very much the folk hero of the game in Nepal, is doing it again. He's never made an international 50, a recognised international 50 in ODI or T20I cricket. He could be just about to do it. He's got his career best already with 49 off 34 deliveries, and there is a world of pressure on Safi and Sharif.
Well, those broad shoulders of Karen Casey now carry the hopes, not of those Scottish fans who would quite like to see him walk back to the marquee, but for those Nepalese fans out there who've provided us with so much joy and entertainment today. And this is very tense now. I think right now Nepal are in the box seat.
19 to win off 11. Nails the Yorker, but it's smeared away into the offside. Gets to the rope. Back-to-back boundaries, and it's a first ever one-day international 50 for Karen KC. They can hardly keep the fans off the playing surface right now. He's got there in 35 deliveries. A comeback for the ages we might be witnessing here from Nepal, and the Cardiac Kids, well, they're at it again.
They certainly are. It was a terrific ball. It was the wide Yorker. It didn't matter. He just timed it to perfection, even though there was protection in the deep.
Worked into the leg side, going to be 4 more. Euphoria, ecstasy being reached in the crowd, and it's Karen Casey doing it yet again for Nepal. They're on the brink now. It's just 11 more needed.
Incredible scenes here at Fort Hill. Is it Scotland or is it the Himalayas? This is amazing stuff with these fans. They've been absolutely brilliant today. They can sense something special. And Karen Casey is providing it.
He was brilliant with the ball, wasn't he, in the first innings, and he's manufacturing the most miraculous of comebacks here with the bat. All pressure on Scotland. They've almost done all the hard work now. Can they hold their nerve and get over the line? Burrington has another long discussion with the experienced Sharif. He's gone for the block hole, 3 consecutive deliveries. That man's blowing kisses to the TV gantry. 11 to win off 9 now. Driven down the ground. Can Lamachani get back for the second? I don't think so. Oh, misfield, he will! Drama, more drama here at Forfarshire. It'll get KC back onto strike, the last thing that Scotland would have wanted.
Well, that's what pressure does. You don't see Brandon McMullen making those kinds of mistakes in the field very often, but those nerves are at breaking point right now for the players, the fans, for us here in the commentary tent. We've been building up to this all day. We're being rewarded with a cracking finish. Where did Sharif go now?
Just 9 needed to win. Big swing and a miss. That won't matter. The key thing for this delivery is to get Karen KC on strike. Keep the game in his hands. Scotland desperately need the wicket of the big man with the broad shoulders.
Don't go anywhere. Don't move. Stay in your seat. Hold your breath if you have to. 1 delivery remaining in this over. Karen Casey on strike.
It's it down the ground, going to get at least the single. Will he take the second? He does. Interesting decision from Karen Casey. I don't think Scotland will mind that too much. That's not the worst result. Score moves to 290 for 8. 1 over remains.
Ooh.
7 required to win. 6, and we'll do it all again. We'll head off to the super over.
Oh my goodness, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, Lenny. Don't even say it and tempt fate. It could be happening.
We had one last month in Florida. Remarkable game. There is super overs. Long discussions now. Matthew Cross, the vice captain, joins the skipper Richie Barrington to talk to Mark Watt about what to do here. Surely the discussion between Karen KC and Sandeep Lamachani has to be one of, Sandeep, get me a single, let me unleash my long levers, I'll win it with a maximum.
Oh boy.
If you don't love the associate game, you don't know what more it can do to entertain and dramatise our wonderful sport. Every single match in this league, every single game in the pathways continues to astound. Yet again, we've got a classic on our hands as the clock very nearly reaches midnight back in Kathmandu. I suspect not a single person has gone to bed early because it's those two heroes, the two men that were together at the crease as they gained their ODI status for the first time down in Windhoek. That Valentine's Day miracle might be getting joined by a June miracle here in the bitter cold in Scotland. They have it all to do, the Scots, to turn this game around. 7 runs required, 6 deliveries left, and they've got their trump asset bowling at the death. Can Mark Watt pull it off?
Wow, he went for 13 runs in his last over. He really was under the pump after being very tight and disciplined, and you can see now all the marshalling going on. There are fielders running everywhere. Watt is having a big say. They're settling into position now. But this is a huge over.
Final over incoming. Lamachani taken. It's another twist. It's another turn. Munsey clings on.
Oh!
And KC will be stranded at the non-striker's end as Rijan Dakal comes to the crease. You rarely keep Mark Watt wicketless in any 10-over spell, and he strikes back.
Wow. Wow. What a moment. He just pulled his length back on that occasion, but brilliant take from George Munsey. Full stretch, diving, safe pair of hands. What more can we get from this game? Lamachani is almost inconsolable as he goes off. 5 runs. Karen Casey down at the non-striker's end. Nothing he can do at the moment but watch.
Rijan Dakal is going to have to play his role now with the bat in hand. He's going to have to find a way to get KC on strike, and I'd be pretty sure that KC will only try to do one thing then. He'll try to win it with a maximum. He might have as many as 4 balls to do it. But Dakal is somehow going to have to try and get any piece of bat on this ball and just sprint down the other end. It might be a case here, Mel, of tip and run.
Well, yeah, that's the wisest option, isn't it? He's just got to get bat on ball, drop it somewhere. There's plenty of spaces. But
for Scotland, they've got to find a way for the 4 men in the circle, at least 1 or 2 of them, to save the single.
Yep.
The man at mid-wicket is squeezing in, as is the cover fielder. That's Davidson at mid-wicket, McMullen at cover. This is the critical moment. Can Dakal manufacture a single? Down the leg side, it's going to be a wide, surely.
Oh!
Might just need a 4 now to tie the scores, KC, if Dakal can get that single. Not sure what Watt was looking for, maybe the leg stump Yorker. Here comes Watt again, 5 deliveries left, 6 to win. Not going to find the single, great squeezing from Davidson. And a good loud call from Karen KC, no run there.
Oh boy. So that wide, still 4 legal deliveries left.
Edged away and edge for the single. Why is the man at short third so deep? It's going to give Karen Casey a chance to win it. A 4 will tie it. A 6 will be a walk-off maximum. It's 5 to win. I think there's only going to be one answer here. 4s or 6s for Casey, and he's going to have 3 chances to do it.
Well, a pressure really all falling on Mark Watt's shoulders. We talk about Karen Casey's broad shoulders. Mark Watt has got broad shoulders too. What has he got?
3 men in the deep on the leg side, 6 to win. Pumped down the ground, it's the longest part of the ground! 1 bounce, falls inside the ropes, and the Nepal fans are on the pitch. They thought it was gone all the way. End result will be 2. It's going to be 3 to win. Any boundary will do now for Nepal. Just 2 deliveries left.
Oh boy. Oh, if the rest of these 2 weeks are going to be like this, I'm not going to be able to cope. My God.
Feel that heart rate at home, or if you're Mel Farrell, mine's pulsing up around 160. I'm not even moving. 2 balls left. It's 3 to win. Any boundary will do. It's worked into the leg side. He's going to get 1. Can he get 2? Could be a run-out opportunity. Casey turns. Sharif misfields. The scores are tied. At a minimum, we're off to the super over. Nepal are at it again. And it's just 1 to win.
Well, I don't know how the players out there are feeling at the moment, what the pressure's doing to them. Little misfield as well on that last ball.
Well, it's the classic Nepal game, isn't it? Exactly what you'd expect. The Stuart Law era. I hope he's had his cardiologist check him out before he's taken this role, because this is what you're in for maybe months and years of to come. The scores are tied. Nepal cannot lose this in normal time. They could win it though. Any run will do. And almost the entire field now comes in for Nepal. Well, what a game we are witnessing. An extraordinary return to ODI action after 210 days out of it. We're somehow going all the way to the 300th and final ball of the second innings, and Nepal at a minimum have a super over in their hands.
Well, they do, and it looked like it was out of their hands for so long. They just kept finding a way, both when they were bowling and now when they were batting, to worm their way back into this game. The self-belief is there, the talent's certainly there, and it's being finished off by a truly magnificent innings from Karen Casey. He's got one more job to do. He's got 1 ball left. He can get them home now.
Fielders swarming everywhere in the circle. 5, or in fact 6, are cutting off the single. Just 3 remain in the deep ball on the catch. Here we go. Will it be the super over? Or can Nepal win it? It's dropped by the keeper. Given. We're off to the super over. It's given us a wide. In fact, Nepal win. Nepal win. Nepal win. They've somehow taken a win in the most remarkable of circumstances. The umpire took an eternity and the crowd swarmed the field. They won't be bowled all out. Maybe they will, I don't even know. But one thing is for certain, it's Karen Casey, the hero. He'll finish unbeaten on 65. Dramatic, extraordinary scenes as 400, 500, 600 Nepal fans swarm the ground. Scotland have lost the most extraordinary game of cricket you might ever witness. And Karen Casey is being held aloft by hundreds, and I'm not sure he's going to even get off the ground.
Wow, what a finish! It was all confusion. It was, I don't even think I even know what happened, but it was one way, then it was the other, then the wide was given. My goodness gracious me.
He's going to make it off. He's given a hero's ovation. Nepal have won the game for the ages. There'll be only one player in the match. That man is clapping him off with cymbals. The most incredible game of cricket you will ever witness at any level. And somehow, I'm still not quite sure how, I think they've won it by just 1 wicket. I'm not sure the last wicket counts. I don't know what's just happened. But Nepal, they're winners. 2 critical points on the Cricket World Cup League 2 table.